Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I want to say just hello to everyone and thank you all for being here today. And we are absolutely grateful and thankful that you showed up to spend a little time with us here in the confident speaking space today. This is a community where we are here for you. We're here so that we all are able to grow together. And at the end of the day, no matter where we are in our journey, in terms of our growth and development, there's always room for growth. There's always room for us to improve. And that's what we're doing here in this community. We're taking the steps necessary in order for us to be better than we were yesterday, that to be better than we were last week. And if we ever get to a place that we feel like we have arrived, beware, because we're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities that can improve your life even more than it may be at this point. So I want you to always have that in mind that you're going to be very intentional about being better than you were. That's the only way we remain relevant. That's how we're able to maximize and capitalize on so many opportunities that exist in this world. And I know that there are a lot of people struggling with life right now, trying to find jobs and whatever the circumstances may be. But I want you to know that when you are a confident and effective communicator and you have the mindset that, yes, I can, then you will, because you'll look beyond the surface and you'll find those opportunities. And what begins to happen as you become this confident and effective communicator, opportunities begin to find you. And I say that from experience because there's so many things that I've done from the time I graduated from college. I think I applied to a job, but since college and that first job that I applied for, someone has contacted me about opportunities that I have or that I have had. And it just has been that type of progression. And I want you to understand that you too can do the same thing and have the same experiences in your life. But it requires us to be intentional about our behaviors and always looking to be better and never settling for just good enough or settling for what's simply okay. Now, here in the confident speaking community, we have a few things that we focus on. The four P's of speaking that we deal with: pitch, pace, power, and pause, because we're here to practice. We're here to be intentional. So as you do come up to speak, be mindful of your pitch, your pace, your power, and your pause, so that when you leave this space and go to others, or when you're on the job in meetings and you have something you want to share, you can carry that with you. But it begins here, now, every moment that you have when you decide to open your mouth. Think about what you're saying, why you're saying it, and how you're saying it. And you will begin to develop these effective communication skills that you didn't even know you had the ability to demonstrate in your life. And that's what I want for you. Conciseness. That's another thing that we focus on here in the confident speaking community. We want you to understand how to learn to say what's most important in your thoughts and comments, but do it concisely, because you won't always have a lot of time to say everything that you want to say. So it's very important that you learn that skill and develop it. So to do that, we generally will use a timer where we give people 2 minutes to share their thoughts. And for someone that's new to the community, we'll give you 3 minutes. But then at a minute and a half, you hear this chime. Or at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll hear that chime. And that means you have about 30 seconds left. And we want you to really be mindful of that. And one thing I've seen happen is we have a tendency to get some guidance, instructions, or directions on how we're supposed to do something. But for some reason, we ignore the directions and we just do what we want to do. So I want you to become more intentional about this process so that when you hear the first chime, don't panic. Don't feel like you just have to stop speaking at that moment, but just know that there's going to be a second chime for you to finish. So let's think about that and be mindful of it. And this isn't, again, to be harsh. This is so that we develop intentional behaviors that we're able to carry with us. We have to practice these things so that they become a part of the way that we live our lives. And I promise you, you're going to see results and there's going to be benefit as a result of you doing that. And we challenge ourselves. So we learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So we do challenges here in this space that will help you learn to think on your feet. We want you to not be afraid of circumstances and situations that you may not feel you have control over, or that you may feel that you aren't the smartest person in the room, but the words you have to share are important and valuable. And I want you to learn to be comfortable that even if you make mistakes, it's okay. And practicing here in this space and any others, but when you practice here, we're supporting you and we're going to build you up and help you understand that it's okay. We want you to make the mistakes so that you're able to learn how to manage those moments when it really matters, when you have something on the line. And that's going to help you become more confident because you practice here, you make the mistakes, and you realize that, you know what? Everyone still likes me. People still appreciate me. And no one stopped being my friend because I made a mistake. But more importantly, you realize that it's okay and that you're able to recover and keep moving forward. And that's what we want you to do here in this space. So before we get into the topic of the conversation, which we're going to discuss today, discovering the leader in you. But I want to say hello to Shari. Hi, Shari. How are you today?
Hi Tim, I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. I hope you're doing good. It's a rainy day here in Toronto, so just indoors, relaxing with the family at the moment. Hi Mama B, hi everyone in the room. I'm so happy you guys are here. I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here as always. And yes, it's a little cloudy here. We've had rain for the last 2 or 3 days as well on my side of town, you could say, or my side of the world. Mama B, how are you today? Good to see you.
Oh my gosh, I'm fantastic. I don't even know what I'm doing up here under with the co-host name under me. Oh my gosh, I hope I live up to that name. But anyway, hello everyone. I'm so glad to be here. As you can tell, I'm a little kerfuffled. I'm a little kerfuffled because even my friend is here. I couldn't believe I look in my hand and I see my friend, the one with the name the real McCoy. He is my friend, my diehard from Clubhouse, and I'm so glad to see you, Lori, my love. And yeah, so hi, Shari. Hi, Tim Brown. I know now you feel like you're second class citizens because I went straight to Lori over there. But you know, I love you all. Tim Brown, thank you, my love. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I am looking forward to this conversation today. Yes, I feel strange being in a different part of my phone, but I'm here. Go ahead, Tim.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And it can feel strange when you change positions or change roles, whether it's on the phone in a space like this or on your job, in your family. Changing roles can be uncomfortable. And we have to understand how to make those adjustments and still be able to move forward with confidence and effectiveness. So, everything in here, believe it or not, everyone, I want you to understand that everything we do in this space is an opportunity for you to continue growing. Whether you're speaking, you get to practice your 4 Ps. If you're giving feedback to someone who does a challenge, it forces you to listen so that you understand how to give that feedback and to be comfortable giving feedback when it may be something that you feel they may not necessarily want to hear. That's part of life. And we have to understand how to manage those moments effectively. So, what I want to discuss today, just for a few minutes, and then we'll get into this conversation, is discovering the leader in you. And there's this long-standing, huge debate about whether or not leaders are born or whether they're made. I personally believe it's both. I believe some people are born leaders. However, even as a born leader, you have to develop the skills to lead effectively. So you don't just know how to lead and you do it well without some type of training and understanding that you have been born to be a leader. You have to embrace the role of being a leader, especially when you're born that. Because there's, even in the Bible, it says he gave some to be gifts of administration, some gifts of leadership, some to teach, some to prophesy, some to show compassion. So all of us have been given some type of gift and ability, And I, again, believe that some people are born leaders. And when you look at children, the ones that always step up and they take charge when they're playing with their friends, they're leaders. That's what leaders do. They take charge and they lead the direction of the people that they're around and that they're amongst. So understand that even though you may not realize that you too are a leader, today I hope that you walk away from this space knowing that you are, because there's more perspectives to leadership and being a leader than just what we think about on our job, that person that's in charge on the job. So as I get into this, I want you to know that we're going to describe 3 different types of leaders. And just know that when you get into this type of conversation, you can speak to 5 different people and they'll have different perspectives of types of leaders. There's all this theory that goes around, but this is the perspective that I want to share with you today, because I want you to walk away from here knowing that you too are a leader. And when you embrace the fact that you are a leader, it allows you to walk in the confidence of being the leader that you are, and it will empower you to demonstrate the confidence that you need to have in order to lead effectively, because you are. Every single one of you in here is a leader. And then I'm going to just share some of the people that you may be leading or may have led that you didn't even think about. So let's look at this. The first one is a traditional leader. The traditional leader is the person that everyone knows and sees on the job. It's that person that has climbed the ranks in their organization. And typically, in many cases, and unfortunately, they're the person who's seen as the good worker. And I won't even minimize their impact and say just seen as a good worker. They're the person who does a great job at doing their job. They're very effective. They get things done on time, and they usually leave their mark when they show up to do work. And they become those traditional leaders that we see, or managers, I would say. And then they're often focused on the theories or the frameworks of leadership. And when you think about the traditional leader, there's someone that fits that mold. They're on the job and they're managing a team of people. They're telling people what to do. And by virtue of their role, they have authority. So their style tends to be based on authority, or their leadership role is the result of them having authority. So there's a traditional leader. I want you to think about the motivational leader. The motivational leader is the person that it's easy to see them. They stand out. They're vocal motivators. They have infectious personalities that are often fueled with a lot of passion, and they get people excited. But one of the things that happens with the motivational leaders is that there isn't always something that's sustainable. There's a tendency that when people have this motivational type leadership, it gets you excited for the moment, but when you walk away from their infectious personality, you aren't necessarily locked in all the time. But they use those moments to get you excited to get a task done, to complete projects, and to be able to move forward that, yes, team, you've got this. We're stronger than we've ever been. So let's go make this money and let's go save the company, or let's go change the world. And they can motivate you like that because their personality is infectious, and they're often fun to be around as well. So they provide inspiration that they use to lead people. And then where a lot of us have probably fallen and not even realized it is the unintentional leader. There's the unintentional leader. And the unintentional leader is the person who stands behind the scenes. You aren't concerned about being in the spotlight. You thrive in one-on-one engagements and conversations with people. There's this tendency for you to be an encourager. You're an educator, and you are likely to be empathetic to other people's needs, their desires, or their feelings. And you often will serve without the title of being a leader. And that's an unintentional leader. And at the end of the day, unintentional leaders are people that add value to their environments, because you didn't ask for the job, but that's who you are and that's what you do. And people recognize that. So as an unintentional leader, your guiding light and what draws people to you is the respect and esteem that you have from your peers or your coworkers or your friends or whomever it may be in your life that you have become an unintentional leader to. So I want you to think about that. Now, as we go to the next step here, here's some people that you may be leading or have led without even realizing it. Because again, all of us are leaders on some level, but I need you to begin to embrace it. I need you to understand it. And then I need you to walk in it so that you can begin to maximize all that this life has for you. We need leaders in this world. We need effective leaders in this world at every level. And thinking about an organization, there's a CEO, there's a CFO, then you may have directors and executive directors, then you have senior managers, then you have team leads. So there's leadership all around us. So you need to figure out where your place is as a leader and understand some people were gifted to be able to lead 1,000 people, where others may have only been gifted to lead three. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, your role is still important because you could impact one person's life. And remember, that one life you impact could be the one person that has the ability to change the world. So take your role of leadership seriously because it does matter on your job, in your classroom, or wherever it is that you may be. Now, some of the people you may be leading now or have led is your family. You go to family gatherings and events, and you find that you're always the person that they call upon to say grace. You're always the person that they come to when there's challenges in the family and they need someone to provide a level headed response or to help diffuse a conflict that's going on at the family dinner. You're that person. And if you are that person, that means you are an unintentional leader. You didn't ask for it, but because of who you are and the way you carry yourself, they follow your lead. There's respect and esteem for who you are and the value you bring to the table. So understand that in your family, you can be an unintentional leader. Your classmates, in your classes or your coworkers, with your friends especially, you're having a conversation with someone and or a group of your friends and someone does something or says something that's a little bit inappropriate. Being a leader says you're going to say, you know what, John, let me make sure I don't see any Johns in here because I'm not talking about you. Okay. So you say, John, what you just did wasn't right. I don't think you should have said that to that person. And you probably want to apologize and go fix that. And that's holding them accountable. And as a leader, what you're doing is you're setting the standard that this is how we need to behave. You are demonstrating what it means to be a good person. You're demonstrating what it means to facilitate good conversations or to demonstrate appropriate behaviors. That's what leaders do. All those aspects of life that we know we should be living by, ethical behaviors, emotional demonstrations, or emotional intelligence, that's what you do. And this can happen in your classroom, with your friends, with your coworkers, even with your supervisor. You can be an unintentional leader with your supervisor. How many of you have ever found yourself where whenever something new comes up, whenever there's a project or a task that needs to get done, you realize that your supervisor always comes to you to get your opinion, to get your feedback? That means that you have established yourself as someone that they respect and esteem, and your opinion matters. This is part of the reason the confident speaking community exists, because I need you to understand and recognize the value that you bring to the table to any room that you show up in, regardless of your title. Too many of us have found ourselves that because someone has the title of CEO, or someone has the title of vice president, or someone has the title of expert in whatever field, you believe that what you have to say isn't as important as what they have to say, when in fact it may be even more important. There's no one that knows everything, and there are always people who have fresh perspectives that need to be heard. When you're the new person on the job, you may have experienced a time where they said, you know what, Brenda, what do you think, Brenda? I know you just joined the team, but you haven't been, let's see, what would the word be? You haven't been blinded by our old behaviors and processes. Based on what you've seen, what do you think? What would you do differently because you haven't been exposed to what we've gone through? So your opinion matters. So never doubt or negate the value that you can bring to a conversation or discussion because you're new. Understand that you may be that unintentional leader that people need, that people will follow without you even asking them. So your family, your classmates, your coworkers, your friends, your supervisor, your team, it could be anyone as an unintentional leader. And again, that's what many of you are because you haven't embraced the fact that you have the ability and you have the tools to make a difference in your environments. And I need you to walk away from this conversation thinking about that more deeply and trying to figure out where your place is so that you can open the door for all these opportunities that are just waiting on you to show up and to speak up to say, hey, I can do it. And if I don't already have all the answers, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to try. And I'll tell you something. One thing this morning I was thinking, I said, how can I challenge myself a little more? And it dawned on me that we do the random topic challenges in here, and we generally give ourselves 60 seconds to do the random topic challenges. And what I feel like I would like to do to challenge myself and just to demonstrate to everyone that it's okay, even if you make mistakes, is come into the space one day. Who knows, maybe next Saturday, and let someone give me a topic and not just 60 seconds, but to discuss that topic, for a few minutes, 5, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever that may be, just based on something that you present to me in that moment. Because I'm not afraid of a challenge. I'm not afraid to be put on the spot, and I'm not afraid to take a chance. You can't grow. You can't be successful if you aren't willing to take risks. And that's a risk that I'm willing to take. And I'm actually getting excited about the idea of doing that. So you all be thinking about that. Be thinking about a topic. And what we may do is if there are several different topics, I may set it up as a poll here on the platform and take the top 3 to 5 if there are a lot of different ones that come up, and then let everyone vote on the poll on which topic you would want me to do the challenge for. And I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that and just see if I can have a conversation about that and potentially give you something useful, but I'm going to do it as a challenge. So, but we'll see. I'm not going to say too much more than that. So that's on the table, everyone, because remember, we're growing together, and you can't lead people if you don't have the ability to demonstrate what it is you're trying to help them understand and what you're trying to show them. That's what leadership is about. Now, with that said, here's some ways that you can demonstrate leadership that go beyond just what we typically think about that person on the job who has the title of manager or boss or leader, executive or director. You can demonstrate leadership by trying new approaches. Do something different. And I often hear people say, well, this is the way they always did it. So what? Just because they've always done it that way doesn't mean it can't be done a different way. As a leader, you're willing to take the chance and do something different. Imagine all of the inventors out there, the ones who took a chance exploring new ways to make bread, to slice bread, to create electricity, to do the math to help them launch the space shuttles successfully. The one who created the super soaker, that was major, the super soaker. But hopefully everyone knows the super soaker. But it's those moments where you are willing to do something different. So try new approaches on your job. Even if you have to experiment on your own without announcing that you're doing it, give it a try and present it, or let them know that you're trying, because it demonstrates your willingness to take risks in a safe environment, or take those risks that may open the door to move your team forward or to move your organization forward. And believe me, leaders appreciate that. Leaders need individuals that are going to be problem solvers and that are not afraid to step up and do something differently. Everyone probably has a suggestion box at your job. What's the suggestion box for? That's for people to say, hey, here's a new approach. Let's try something different. They want that and they appreciate that. And as a leader, when you're one of the traditional leaders, as a CEO, if you don't have the willingness and ability to identify and try new approaches, you will fail over time. Eventually, other people around you are going to innovate and they're going to do things differently and they're going to move past you. So you have to try new approaches. That's a way to demonstrate your leadership. Creating new standards of personal behavior, innovation, but setting a standard. That's a way to demonstrate leadership. Sacrificing for others is a way to demonstrate leadership. It sets a standard and it shows people that it doesn't have to be about us all the time. And if you've ever led people before, you know that it absolutely is not about you because you have to be mindful of the people that you're leading, what they need, how do I need to nurture them, and make sure that they have what they need so that they're able to function at the maximum capacity possible. So we have to be willing to sacrifice. Show people that they matter. That's leadership. You have to be able to show people that they matter. And as an unintentional leader, you gain respect and esteem because that's something you do. That's probably a natural aspect of your personality of showing people that they matter because you've probably been in those environments where people made you feel like you didn't. And then empowering others to succeed is the last one that I want to mention, just as a way to display leadership. And all of this just goes beyond just being the manager or the boss or the director in your organization. This can happen anywhere with your family, your classmates, your coworkers, with your friends, and on your team. So try new approaches, create new standards of doing things, be willing to sacrifice for others, show people that they matter, empower others to succeed. And just in case there's some of you saying, well, I'm not an extrovert, I'm an introvert. Being an extrovert does not make you a good leader at all. It just means that you enjoy the crowd. You enjoy and are motivated by the crowd and being around a lot of people. As an extrovert, you too still can be a great leader. You don't have to be an extrovert to be a leader because actions speak louder than words. So do not let me hear you use that as an excuse. Well, I'm an introvert. That's fine. Do not use that as an excuse to hinder yourself in life. And the last thing that I'll say about this is that a leader inspires and empowers people while improving the world around them. A leader inspires and empowers people while improving the world around them. And with that, we'll open it up for some conversation and see what some of your thoughts may be. So I see we FHK9, your hand was up. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing lovely. Thank you so much for this beautiful, wonderful space. And I have a few things I would like to share, if it's okay with you, on this topic, which has definitely caught my attention because I am definitely not shy to speak my word. But what I have been confronting lately in my own experience and throughout my life is that when you speak the truth, people do not like that. People want to be masked up, put the masks on. That's why I collect a lot of masks, not because of me, but because the others are very, I'm not saying everyone, but the majority of the people are not open-minded and are willing to listen to the both sides. You know, there's always a good and a bad to every situation, but I have learned that definitely this is my calling. I must step up. And what has held me back many, many times is the fear of failing, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to speak up no matter what happens because at the end of the day, the Lord is watching me and He knows me. He knows my intentions, and it's to make a better world, a better place. Because I've seen a lot of people do this from the heart. They are inflated in the ego and they're, sitting on the top, but really they should not be on the top. They should be at the bottom. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that, FHP. And I'm glad that you are stepping up and you're saying, no, well, I'm no longer, I was wanting to say now.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm stepping up because everything begins with you. If you do not love yourself, if you do not respect yourself, how are you going to give it? You need to give it, but first you're going to give it to you because you matter. Lord made you unique in your own way. He wants you to do that exactly. If you're not content with who you are, you're not going to bring that to the table to anyone, and that people can perceive that. So,
Absolutely.
love,
Absolutely.
you need to give love to you first, and then it'll open up to other people as well. And that's it right there. What the world needs is a humanity, which humanity is out there.
Yes,
People are masquerading everything. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Thank
I do. So
you.
thank you, FHP. So
Okay.
yes, so I love the perspectives, and I love that you are stepping up, like you said, and you realize that it begins with you believing in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, and that's why I want everyone that when you leave here today, you remember this, what we discussed and what we are discussing. These types of leaders. You don't have to be a traditional leader or that super charismatic motivational type leader. You are probably that unintentional leader that because of your character and who you are, people will follow you. But you can't be afraid to lead them when they do come to you for guidance and direction, or they need to hear something that's going to encourage them and give them the strength to do something different for themselves, or to help them understand how to love themselves. And all of that is very important. So I really appreciate that, FH9P, you sharing that. And I'm super excited that you are on that journey and that you have embraced the role that you have been given. So thank you very much for that.
You're
But
welcome.
yes, Mama B, I saw your hand go up, and then we'll go to, I think it was Patriot Sarah, and then Jade one. Mama B, go ahead.
Yes, my goodness, FHP, the passion. I love the passion and loved even, just the whole idea of taking ownership, because I think that's what leadership is, and what you said there at the end, Tim, I didn't write it down because I was coming down the stairs. You said something about part of being the leader is to improve people's lives, that became a key for me, improving people's lives, because you can be a leader and be leading people to a different place where it's not improving people's lives. So that is my big takeaway so far, improving people's lives as a leader. Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. And I like that both of you approached it from that perspective. FHP from the perspective of what she's doing and not necessarily what someone else has to do or needs to do, but what are you doing? And that's very important that we approach these types of conversations from a personal perspective. What have I done? What can I do? And what am I going to do? That's when you begin to see the transformation in your life, because it's so easy. And I can think of times when I've been in church or I've been somewhere that someone has made a statement or comment and taught something that was valuable or valuable lessons. And they'll often say, wow, Michael's needed to hear this. Well, what about you? Have you figured this out? Have you mastered this concept? Have you changed your life based on what they said? Don't worry about what Michael is doing. What are you doing? And that's what I want you to think about today. And even more so going forward as we have these conversations. What are you doing, and how is your life being impacted by the things we talk about, so that you can see the transformation in your life? Because I try to stay away from the generalizations and assumptions, to say what everyone needs to do. And as I often tell you, that whenever I share something with you, it's perspectives. It's based on experience, it's based on research, but it's also based on things that I've seen happen in my life as well. But I want you to know that I don't ever try to give you something that's prescriptive, that you have to do it a certain way. And I'm intentional about that, because you may be that unintentional leader that develops a new standard. So I never want you to have the mindset that because I said something, you should stop thinking about new ways to handle a situation. You may come up with a new theory. You may develop a new framework, but you have to remain open, be willing to try new approaches, create new standards as a leader. So I just wanted to add that. Patriot Sarah, how are you? Welcome to the space.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. You having a great day so far?
I'm working out, but I stepped out so I could be a speaker. This is my first time speaking in this space. My name is Sarah. I'm from California. I am a person who stutters.
Sarah,
But I need
Sarah, one second. Excuse me for interrupting. So what I want to tell you, Sarah, is to just relax. There's no pressure, so just take your time. So just take your time, okay?
Okay.
Yep, just take a deep breath.
But I try to do like the box breathing or whatever to try to calm myself down some. But I'm here to learn how to how to speak more confidently also. And I think as a someone like myself, I can learn to be a leader as well. Thank you for letting me speak.
Absolutely. And thank you, Sarah, for being willing to speak, because we all experience life differently, and we need to be mindful. And this is why, as confident and effective communicators, we have to be very intentional about what we're doing, and we learn to be patient with people. We learn to take our time to get information, to understand at least a little bit about the people that we're dealing with and what they may be living with, what life experiences may have been or may be for them. And we have to learn to embrace the different aspects of what people go through in life and give them that grace, give them that patience to have the different. And Sarah, and this isn't specifically or only about you, Sarah, because it's for all of us. Everyone has different aspects of life and experiences that will shape our willingness to communicate publicly with people. And it can be very uncomfortable. When we have people who don't speak English as their native language, it can be very uncomfortable. When people have been told as a child, you should not be talking when you aren't spoken to. If I don't call your name, don't say anything. And that can be damaging to adults in adulthood when you experience that as a child. So whether it's stuttering or being told something that you should not have been told, or given this mindset of a certain behavior that you should have that follows you throughout your life into adulthood, we as confident and effective communicators, we have to understand how to work with that. And still, as those unintentional leaders, show people that they matter. Be willing to sacrifice for others and empower others to succeed. So just now, with this moment, for even for Sarah, we did that. That was a sacrifice, because there's some spaces where people won't, literally and unfortunately, there's some spaces where they won't give Sarah an opportunity to share, because they want, they want it to be really fast. And if it isn't easy and comfortable for them, they don't give people room to be themselves, showing people that they matter, because Sarah absolutely matters. And all of you in this space, she matters regardless of whether she stutters or not. And who knows? And Sarah, I was another friend of mine on the space that I met. He stutters as well. But you know what? I've seen that over time, it has improved. He doesn't stutter as much. And I noticed that there are certain times that he may stutter more than others, but it's when he's relaxed. And I've actually been reading a little bit, trying to understand, what it is, what the struggle is, what it is that myself as someone that doesn't stutter, how could I potentially help facilitate more comfortable engagement when someone does, because all of those things matter. And that's being a leader where we try to take the time to figure out how can we provide the best environment for everyone that's willing to follow our lead. I can't treat her the same way that I treat Mama B, or expect her to respond the same way that Mama B does, or Shari does, or So or Dr. Allison. That's part of being a leader. And one of the lists again was sacrificing for others. So Sarah, I just thank you for being willing to do that. I really do thank you. And it may seem like I'm just really harping on you, but you just don't know how impactful you coming up and speaking and being comfortable enough with us to do that, how many people you have probably impacted, because it matters. It really does matter.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I see Mama was Shari. So that's Shari's hand, then Mama B, and then we'll go to Jade.
Thank you, Tim. I'm going to be really quick. I just wanted to say kudos to Sarah. Um, that's so nice that you took the first step and you came up in a room where it's full of strangers, but you still had the confidence to do it. And I'm happy that you found the courage to do it in this space. This space is such a caring one where everyone's like open to help and to help you grow as to where you're trying, the steps and the stages and where you're trying to be. So I hope to see you back in the space, and I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing how you progress on your journey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shari. Mama B.
Yes, I just want a quick one just to say, Sarah, how inspiring just that move that you made today to come up here. Tim said the same thing and Shari said the same thing. I don't want to be redundant now, but I just wanted to say that, Tim always talks about it is about connecting with people. It's not about the big words. It's not about the, sounding whatever we think we need to sound like. It is about connecting, and we connect by bringing who we are in the fullness of who we are to the table. And you just did that today for me, Patriot Sarah, and you inspired me today. You were inspired. So thank you. Tim, your mic is hot, and you were inspiring today. So thank you, Sarah, for being up here. I don't know whether you were hearing me, Tim. I'm done. I'm done speaking, Tim.
Absolutely. And that wasn't mine. That was someone else's. Let's see, someone else's mic. I found it though. So that just goes to show, the influence that we can have, that all of you, when I say that unintentional leader, you never know whose life you may change with the words that you share. And it's okay, Miley's, your mic keeps opening. We're gonna try this again, and then we may have to move you down just in case. But we'll hold off for a moment. And I see the additional request as well. We'll get you up, Dr. Allison. So let's go now over to Just Shields. No, I'm sorry, Jade, then Just Shields, and then AJ Nick. How are you, Jade?
Hello, everyone. I honestly was just chilling. I don't never be too eager. I'm always chilling in the background for the most part. But I hope everyone is having a great morning, great afternoon, or great evening wherever you are in this world. So I wanted to say first off, of course, Sarah, that was absolutely amazing. It takes so much guts to come into a space and express yourself when you're not like others. And recently at my job, they just hired someone who was for the call center who has Down syndrome, and he was scared because he was like, he didn't work for years, or because of what he had going on, and he's doing great. And they at first they was like, oh, we're not gonna put you in too high of a call value. And he was like, I'll take it. I don't care, and he's just doing great. So I think it's absolutely beautiful for anyone with to if you're different from anybody else, we're all human at the end of the day. We're all having a human experience. So, give each other compassion and understanding and grace, So, yes, all, yeah. But I wanted to say that you talked about being an effective leader and talking about how just because you come off as a great leader does not mean that you're effective. And I came across that recently a few times. I had a recent ex who authoritative type of person and wants to build his business and do this and do that. And I said, it's a certain way you have to talk to people. You can't just be like, if I'm the boss and I'm authoritative, you should listen. Yes, of course, if they want to get paid, but they won't stay with you for long. They'll leave to something better, or they may take less money because they're being treated better than what you're doing. And how would you build your company? You can't do it alone after a while when it gets bigger. So I told him, like, there's certain things, especially I believe personally with going to therapy, learning that most it's great for most men, anybody, to build emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, and compassion. And I told him, like, those are some things you may need to work on in order to be an effective leader. And he kind of got mad at me, and he was like, oh, what I say goes. No, if that's what you think, sure, but that's not going to last long. That's not going to last long. People, especially people where they don't have to be in your life, they will leave and you will sit there by yourself. So yeah, I just wanted to say I really resonate with that.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. And it does. And people typically don't leave jobs. They leave people. They leave the bosses that they don't like. There are a lot of people who enjoy the work they do, but they don't enjoy the people that they work for. So they're willing to leave an environment that they like to get away from certain people. So keep that in mind. Just because you're in charge doesn't mean that you're effective. And you have to understand how to manage and interact with everyone based on who they are as an individual. It's imperative to be an effective leader. You have to take the time to understand each individual. And if you've got 20 people on your team, yes, you need to figure out how to get to know and understand all 20 people on your team if you're going to lead them effectively. And that's where some of the sacrifice comes in. We're showing people that they matter. We're helping empower others to succeed. So being the leader isn't all glory and glamour the way some people think it is. Sometimes you may get a bigger check. However, at the end of the day, is an extra $10,000, $15,000 a year worth the additional work that is required to actually lead and lead effectively. So it's something to think about, because I actually told a supervisor once, a director, that I wasn't at a point where I wanted to be in charge of people, because I've done that. I used to be a mortgage broker, and we had about 25 people that worked for us. And there was a day that I wanted to fire half of them. It was just some things that were going on, and we were trying to create a nice environment, nice facility that we had. And there was just this level of selfishness that they demonstrated, wanting to do things their way. And it can be difficult when you're managing people, and it isn't all glitz and glamour. So I just want you to be mindful of that. But when you're that unintentional leader, remember, you could be that unintentional leader without the title. You serve the role without the title in many cases, but you are in that role because you have established a level of respect and esteem that people appreciate you for who you are, not because of your title. When you have the title, you can tell someone because of your authority what to do. But as an unintentional leader, people do it because they value you and what it is that you say. So that's the kind of leader you really want to be, even if you do have the title. So with that, I say thank you, Jade, and then let's go over to Just Shields. And before Just Shields speaks, I just want to remind everyone here in this space, our goal is to make sure that we are moving forward. We're trying to make progress. And I want you to know that it isn't about perfection. I don't want you to worry about being perfect in anything that you do. The goal is to be able to make progress and move forward. And for some people, making progress may be simply coming up to be a speaker. And you don't actually have to say anything. If you've never spoken in a space, if you've never been a speaker before, request to be a speaker. And we're comfortable with that because we want you to move forward. And maybe next week or the week after, you may actually request to speak and actually say something. And that's fine. However, you do it, as long as you're moving forward and you're being intentional about growing and getting better. And I say all of that to say that we only call on people when they raise their hand. And that's because we give you an opportunity to be a speaker without actually having to say anything. So if you want to share something, make sure you raise your hand so that we can actually get you on the list to give you that opportunity to actually speak if that's what you want to do. But everyone is welcomed, everyone is encouraged. And I want to say this, when you're sitting there, because I've been there in this place where I felt like I may have wanted to say something and I ponder and say, okay, I have time. We're going to be here for a while, so I'm not going to ask right now. I'm going to wait. And then I wait. And then I wait. And then before you know it, the opportunity is passed. And you didn't do what you had the opportunity to do. And I don't want you to sit in fear and miss opportunities in your life waiting on the right moment or the perfect moment, because there is no perfect moment. There's rarely a perfect moment. I won't say never. There could be some perfect moments, but it's rare that you're going to be able to determine and identify that perfect moment. So when you feel it in your heart, go for it and do it, because you don't know when the time may pass. And I just say that so you don't miss the opportunity to be able to come up and speak and say something if you feel led to say something, because we are going to get to a point where Mama B, Shari, and everyone in the space, we're going to get to a point where we close the space on time. And it's difficult because we don't want to turn people away. But at the end of the day, there's what we call accountability that we have to take. And it's also raising the standard and raising the bar so that people understand that you can't wait and just keep waiting, because at some point the moment is going to disappear. And we want you to get to a place where you stop waiting and jump in there when, and you have to be smart now, but in this environment, stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because it won't come, and you will continue to talk yourself out of it, rationalizing why it's okay to wait. And I don't want you to keep doing that. So with that, we'll go now to Just Shields. Just Shields, AJ Nick, and then Sower. Just Shields.
Hey Tim Brown, oh, man, today is a powerful packed house, man. So I just want to say thank you for taking out the time for making such an impactful out of the blue scenario, because I was just exploring around, and I was listening to what you have to say, and regardless of wherever we are in life or whatever leadership we contain, it's always good to have a reminder. So from one leader to another, I'd say, as much as a lot of people know everything, I think sometimes speaking out loud re-emphasizes who we are, and then it absolutely passes on to others as well. So I want to say thank you for being so effective in having such an amazing space. More importantly, I think I believe Sarah played a very important role for me today. It's just a reminder that regardless of whatever situations you have, you can always take on a lot of responsibilities. But it's someone like Sarah that comes in and just plays that impactful role, be like, hey, you know, I have a lot of challenges and I'm gonna do my best. So nobody has any reasons to say to me that if you have more challenges, but they're different type of challenges, that you can't do what you are destined to do. So I thought that was something that was very touchy for myself today, and she kind of re-inspired me. It's more of a personal scenario. I got into a car accident this morning, and I was like, man, we take on so much responsibilities, and is it enough, right? What could be the root cause of it? But at the end of the day, certain things had to happen in order for you to build yourself up and say, you know what, it happened, but how can I manage it? So it's a blessing that I was able to manage the whole situation really well. took care of the person, took care of the husband, also came, managed to take care of them with respect, humbleness. We were able to have a mutual conclusion. But it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson that no matter how good you can get in life, we're not perfect. And it's okay. This world is not for perfect people, but but you really have to push yourself to become better every single day, which you had mentioned. And so what I did was, because I got inspired by Sarah, I kind of created a small greeting card for Sarah. If you allow me, I'd like to pin it here, and it says keep going and keep growing, Sarah. Congratulations on such a milestone achievement. We are all destined to win. Continue to overcome to become. And it has a little nice, cute face. I think this is a milestone for me with Sarah and the whole community together. That sometimes we don't really expect anything, and we come out here and we do our best to serve the community. And somehow the value sometimes you might not get that value immediately, but sometimes you just might get blessed overly. So I think it's all about consistency and being persistent. And that's why every time I see Tim Brown in spaces, I know it's like the second thought in my head that, someone's going to get impacted in a positive way. They might not speak today, but I know they're building on themselves. So thank you for building individuals to become leaders, because they're all leaders at the end of the day. It's up to them when they decide to pick things up. So I just want to say thank you for being such an amazing host. Thank you, the co-host Shari and Mama. It's always a pleasure hearing you guys. And once again, thank you for everything. Much love and respect to all. Keep going, keep winning, keep overcoming, keep becoming, because when you do things the right way, the ethical way, that's the Just Chills way. Thank you once again.
Just Shields. Awesome. Brother. That is awesome. And I hope Sarah was in here to be able to hear that. I can't, let's see. If not, I am going to tag her and make sure that she gets to see the card you made for her. So thank you for doing that. And it's just another example of how you never know how your presence will impact someone. I mean, what she said, what she did, made him want to create a card for her. And this very same thing can happen to you. This is why I work so hard and push you so hard to not be afraid of moments and to be willing to speak up and say what's in your heart, because you never know how you may inspire someone. Your words could be the reason that someone DMs you and asks you to be the next vice president of their new company that they're forming. Or you could inspire a new greeting card line. Who knows? Just Shields might decide to do a greeting card line. You never know how you may impact people. So don't be afraid to speak up. There are life changing opportunities waiting for the ones who are willing to communicate what's in their heart and to demonstrate the value that they have. You never know. So, Just Shields, thank you so much for that. And I look forward to seeing that. Mama B, I saw your hand go up.
Oh my goodness, this is why I just so love this community here. It is for moments like that. Just Shields. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And to think that you've just come out of a car accident earlier and you were able to pour so much into the space and to Sarah with that card. That was beautiful. And you mentioned earlier about how speaking up or partaking or participating will reveal your qualities to other people and those leadership qualities. And you just showed us that, because you came up here and opened your mouth and it revealed, even without you telling us that you're a leader, that you are. So that was beautiful. Thank you.
I know, I love that part too. And I did hear that. He said, being the leaders that we are, he embraces it. He knows that he's a leader and he's okay with that. And he's willing to demonstrate that. So, man, that's awesome, Just Shields. Thank you. And what we're going to do, we've got some people that are requesting to come up, and we want to try to get them an opportunity to come up and speak. So if we happen to rotate some people down, you can come back up. But we just want to try to get as many new people up that we can, and you'll always be able to come back up. and share something else if that's what you want to do. So do not take it personally. We've got about 4 or 5 people that exceed our capacity on the stage. So thank you. So let's go now over to AJ. AJ Nick. How are you, AJ? Welcome to the space.
I'm blessed, Tim Brown. In the words of Dave, that money guy that's on YouTube, I'm probably doing better than I deserve. Hello to the co-hosts that followed you both. Tim, you must be running an excellent space if you have 4 or 5 people waiting to come up in the queue. So I'll keep this under 2 minutes. First of all, again, for Sarah, that was very brave. And happy for you that you're taking that step into public speaking. Took a public speaking class myself when I was in college, although I don't consider myself to be a professional public speaker in the sense that I would get paid for it. Although that is something when you polish your craft very well can end up happening. I was reminded of Ed Milet, actually, when Sarah stepped off the treadmill to share. Ed Milet is now has one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube for motivation and encouragement. And he's a Christian. He's a great guy. I used to work with him at a financial firm many years ago. And now he owns a home on the beach in California. And I'm out here in Southern Utah running my business. But Ed was encouraged to get up and speak at the financial firm one day. And he was so shy and so embarrassed, he froze up in front of the entire audience. And he just stood there like a deer in headlights. And finally, someone near the front row said, "Ed, just tell us your name." And he goes, "Ed." And then he sat back down. That was his first public speech. And now he runs a YouTube channel that is one of the fastest growing YouTubes in the world. And so I would encourage you to look him up. He was a former Dodgers player for the Dodgers. Anyhow, great to be here. That's approaching 2 minutes, just talking about another one of my mentors. But Tim, I'm glad to follow you. And I'll just land my plane with this. I like music, and it's been a passion of mine for a long time. I was blessed. I got to get piano lessons at a young age. Now, there's a place called Cantor's Deli in Los Angeles. Cantor's Deli is famous because Guns N' Roses used to perform there before they got famous. And they have a side room with a lot of music instruments. And there was an open, kind of like an open, free-flowing jazz night where there's a keyboard, guitar, drums, and all these professionals were playing. And if there was an open spot, like someone set the guitar down to go to the bathroom, you could go in and pick up and chime in, assuming you knew what you're doing. And I'd never done something like that before. So that was like public speaking for me, but with music, right? And I'm a keyboardist. So I sat down and I tried to play a few chords and playing by ear and trying to figure out the chord progression. And I knew these guys were pros, like they were 100 times better than I was. But I was able to play a few notes. And after I couldn't quite keep up with the progression, I got up and I sat down. And that was my foray into like extemporaneous music public speaking, right? So Sarah, I did the same thing you did, but with music. And you can now see, like, as you step into a new environment, you want to be in a space like this where there's people to support you and that will encourage you. So Tim, wonderful space. Thanks for having me up. Have a great day, everyone.
AJ, thank you for that, sir. And if you don't mind, if you could put the YouTuber's name in the chat, that way we can take a look at it and see what he's doing. And it's a great example, just how being willing to take the risks. There is no success if you aren't willing to accept the risks and the risk of failure, as some people call it. Because in my mind, failure is a word that I rarely use. I don't like the idea of the word failure because I don't believe that there is failure in our lives. It's just an opportunity to learn. We don't fail as long as we don't quit. What you do is you learn what doesn't work and you figure out how to do it differently so that it can work. And, I really appreciate that you jumped into the fire, AJ, willing to take the risk to see how you can handle that situation. And that's what we all have to be willing to do, whether it's speaking, whether it's demonstrating your skills to figure out how good am I? How can I improve? And when you put yourself in a position to show that, okay, I can learn a little bit more, you'll be surprised how many people are willing to actually help you and to assist you getting better. Many times we don't ask for help because we're too ashamed to say that we don't know something, but no one is going to help you if they don't know you need it. So AJ, I commend you for that. And
Thank you,
thank you.
Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to add
May I
something?
tag on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, if I may tag on to that concept of failure. Another good mentor is a guy named Steve Siebold, Siebold. He has a book called 177 Mental Toughness Habits of the World Class, or Mental Toughness Secrets, actually. And it's the book is broken up into many chapters. I got it on audiobook and I listened to it in my car when I drove to this financial firm back in the day. One of those concepts is on eliminating failure from your vocabulary. So instead of saying, I failed today, you say, I cannot fail. I can only learn and grow. So now failure has been erased from your vocabulary. And you don't think in terms of getting a red F on your piece of paper or whatever it was, because that's how it was ingrained into us at a young age when we were in grade school and then in high school. So you've had 12 years of this A, B, C, D, F system. Like, what happened to E? Why doesn't E get a chance, right? So why am I going straight to F? So you eliminate the F from your vocabulary, and you're not saying the F word anymore, and you're just thinking, I can only learn and grow. Now you're into L words, right? Like love and learn and grow. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and what did happen to the E? Why couldn't we get E for excellent somewhere along the lines? That's a great point. So thank you for adding that. You don't fail, people. As long as you don't quit, you keep trying. So there is no failure. Don't think failure. Stop worrying about that. It's opportunity. It's a time and opportunity to grow. So let's go now over to Sower. I guess Sower may have gotten bumped down. Yeah, Sower got bumped down. And before we go over to, it will be Valeria. I think you pronounced it Valeria, if I'm not mistaken. But,
yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So before we go to Valeria, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has joined the space. Today we're discovering the leader in you. All of you are leaders in some form or fashion. And we talked about traditional leaders, motivational leaders, and the unintentional leader, which is what a lot of people tend to be. You tend to be leaders without asking for that responsibility or without having the title on your job of leader or manager. And it's in those roles that I want everyone today to understand that you may be an unintentional leader because people in your family look to you for guidance. In your classroom, your coworkers, your friends, you're that voice of reason for a lot of people. And you need to learn to embrace that, the idea that you are a leader. And it may not be what everyone describes or defines as a leader, but a leader can be someone that tries new approaches, that creates new standards, that sacrifices for other people, that shows people how much they matter and empowers others to succeed. And I want to say again, and this has become essentially Sarah's space. And Sarah, I hope I saw that Sarah's still in here. And I hope you're really taking this in, Sarah, to see how much of an impact that 2 minutes that you spoke today has had on people in this space. And everyone to take that in to really notice how 2 minutes of her thoughts have impacted so many people in such a profound way. So you never know. So do not be afraid of the moments, people. Be willing to speak up because your words could change someone's life. Your words could potentially, literally save someone's life. So don't be afraid. Be that leader, unintentional or not. But it's because of the respect and esteem that people have for you that they're still willing to follow you. So learn to recognize that you are a leader and begin to lead. And life is going to change for you. I promise you that. And I just want to say, so there's Mama B, just a few people that have some spaces that I like, and people that I think are really working to have a positive impact in people's lives. And Mama B is one. She does her space on Sundays called Intuitive Parenting. And she talks about parenting skills and things that you need to be thinking about to maximize those relationships, overcoming some of the challenges and not allowing perceptions and assumptions and the different opinions people may have about you based on how you may have raised your child. So Mama B has a great space, intuitive parenting. And then there's Josh that has a space, the Innovators Think Tank. His space is today at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. And Josh's space is about a bunch of innovators that are coming together to share their ideas that they are trying to bring to impact. And they're getting feedback on their 60-second pitches for their business. And then there's information from different experts to help you understand different concepts when it comes to innovation and even leadership. So that's a great space. 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time today. And Mama B's is on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Yes, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. Steph Gray, she does a space on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And it's love talk about relationships and also discussing money and finances in her space. And it's a great one to just kind of think through some things and figure out how you can better navigate relationships. And I told her if I wasn't doing confident speaking, if I were to choose a specific title or space topic, it would have been relationships. But I felt like a lot of people were doing it. But, you can never help too much when it comes to relationships because just like communication, I think sits at the top of everything we do. Our ability to manage and navigate relationships sits right under communication. But Steph does that on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Monique has her space. I don't remember exactly when Monique's space is, but it's about self-care and learning to take care of yourself. And that's very important as we go through life. The stress and strain that happens on a regular basis. And we need to figure out how to manage that and not be overwhelmed by life itself because it comes fast and it comes often. And you need to understand how to deal with that. And Donika, she's traveling. She's out of the country in Albania right now, but she does mindfulness with a purpose on Monday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So a great place to, after work, to just go and unwind and learn how to be more mindful. And when you become more mindful about life, about your feelings and emotions, it allows you to navigate everything else so much more effectively, even your communication. Because someone coming to you with a bad attitude, if you develop a greater sense of mindfulness about how you interact with people, then you won't respond with the same level of hostility that they approach you with. Being mindful. So those are some of the things that you get from those spaces. And then Netta does the Come and Say Hi space. And she also hosts the Hunt, where people come and get a job in tech. So that's a great space to go to. She and Sean Basquette do those spaces periodically. So just a few spaces that I would encourage you to consider, to take a look at, because you never know where the next opportunity may be for you. And don't be afraid to raise your hand and share thoughts if you have them. Someone may have an opportunity or hold the key to your next opportunity that could create generational wealth for your family. You just never know, people. You never know. I got a position in the past couple years. I was minding my business. I wasn't even looking for a job. And someone sent me an email and asked me for my resume. I'd worked with them before, but they sent me an email. But it's because I established myself as someone that's willing to take risks. I'm willing to be a leader. And as the employee, I made it it was my position and my purpose to make sure that my leader looked good. I made things easy for my leader, and that resonated, and they always remembered that. So they contacted me, and within 3 weeks, I was on a new job. So keep that in mind, people. So I've experienced these things that we discuss in here. It's real, but you have to apply it, and you can't just listen to what we're talking about and not apply it. When you apply it, that's when you begin to understand and see it work, and you begin to experience the benefit of what it is that your life can see and what it can be. So with that said, let's go now over to And I see Soar made her way back up. Soar, I guess Soar got dropped down, and then we'll go to Valeria. Soar was already up, Valeria. Soar, I see you're back. How are you today?
Hi. Hello, Tim. Hi,
Hello.
everyone. Um, Good afternoon. It is afternoon where I'm at. I don't know what time of day it is wherever you are at, but I'm sending you warm greetings and love and light. I am great. I'm glad to be here, Tim. Um, I'm very inspired by the topic that you chose for today's space. And I've been listening to everyone's, take on it and perspective. And it's enlightening and it's great to just, absorb what it is that
Wait, I'm sorry.
people.
Soar, are you able to go to
Oh,
a place?
geez.
Yeah, that wind is blowing into your mic.
The wind. Yeah,
Yes,
I thought of that. Sorry.
it's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm outside. I'm just getting some fresh air. But yeah, I was just listening in on everyone's take and perspective, and it's just great to absorb, other people's understanding in life and their views on how, you know, how things work for them. But yeah, I don't feel like I have too much to say, but I did want to share a poem that I wrote, and I was just hoping that yeah, I'd be allowed to just read it.
So you've been thinking about leadership with this. What's the poem about?
Well, okay, I was gonna read it and
Uh-huh.
then explain how I believe that it fits into being a leader
Okay,
because
let's go
I
for it.
wrote this. Oh, awesome. Okay, then I haven't titled it. I wrote this 2 days ago, but listening to everyone, I kind of just I, I I remembered that there was like someone mentioned something. I don't know if it was you or someone else, but someone mentioned being a leader ties into the value that you see in other people. Unintentional leader, you picked that, pointed it off on that. But let me go ahead and read the poem now. Okay, so it's untitled, but here it is. Some say love is blind. I know trust isn't. Trust is clear-sighted. Trust is visionary. Believes in what it sees. Believes in what it knows. The lens of trust is not blurry, rather well cut and defined, perfectly trimmed. The lens of trust is framed and trademarked by clarity, integrity. If I tell you that I trust you, and please hear me through, it is for that I see clarity in you and integrity in the things that you do. Love knows its way to trust, and trust never leaves love behind. For the bond they share is in truth. It is not a lie, even in the mind. Search and you will find that it is true. That trust is the leader in you. Search and you will find that it is true that trust is the leader in you. Allow the natural healer bloom. So maybe love may be blind, but I believe trust was designed as the perfect set of eyes to fit that sight. And poem. Okay, so I was gonna tie that to when I think about being a leader, I feel it just boils down to trust ultimately, and trust in where is that you are looking up to someone that you believe can give you guidance and energy and determination and power in whatever way, because everything is energy exchange, kind of like breathing. Everything in this world we give as we receive. And if you are someone that is in that position of leading, and as you said, Tim, unintentional leaders are, it's not really their main um it's not their main point, it's not their main thing to be a leader and be tagged and be known as a leader, but they just within their core is to be caring, to be someone that can provide the right source, resources, be it information, time, however, to contribute to the betterment of another person because they know the value in a person, basically. And that is because they recognize value within themselves. So that is boiling down to trust. Whereas if you are in that position of giving guidance to people, they have to be able to receive that energy off of you. You know, you have to be able to give them that energy, whereas as they can have, you know, that trust with you. 'Cause, yeah, but to be able to do that, you have to be able to build that. You have to be to have that trust with yourself. Sorry, but yeah, I just wanted to share that. And that's what I think. You know, being a leader for me, in the core of it all, really comes down to. But yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And my apologies for the applause in the middle. I think it went silent on my end for a couple seconds. So I thought you had finished. And then you came back with the grand finale after the applause. But thank you. That was excellent. And I believe that, love and trust go hand in hand when it comes to leaders and leading people. And when you say love, it isn't the erotic love. There's the agape, there's the love where you are concerned about people. I can comfortably say that I love all of you in this space because I want the best for each and every one of you. That's love for people. And to demonstrate that through our actions. And as a leader, love says, I'm willing to make sacrifices for you. Love says, I'm willing to show you that you matter. Love says, I'm willing to empower you to succeed. And as a result of that, you trust me or you trust the people who do that for you in your life. So thank you for that, Sora. That was excellent. That was excellent. And what I'm going to do, because we have so many hands, I'm going to trim down what I'm saying because I don't want to take away too much from what you all are wanting to share. And Shari, my apologies. I missed your hand. I was supposed to come to you next. I saw your hand, and then we will come to you, Valeria, after Shari.
Thank you, Tim. I'm going to be real quick. I just wanted to let everyone in the room know that if you're interested in seeing the card that Just Shillin designed for Sarah, it's in the comments. I just uploaded it. That's all I got to say. Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And thank you again, Just Shields. So let's go to Valeria. Valeria, how are you today?
Hello, I am doing well. How are you, Tim, today?
I am fantastic. Fantabulous is a word I've used before. Fantabulous.
Well, I hope that everyone in this space is also having a great day. And what a lovely coincidence. So we're sharing her poem with us right before my participation because I also want to touch on integrity and how much a person with integrity is important to gain the respect of others and to inspire and to gain people's trust. Because sometimes I've seen people that say inspiring words that they try to uplift others, but they like the integrity, they like the honesty or the strong moral values, and so to me, people can do the talk, but if I don't see that their words are aligned with their actions, just they just don't gain my respect, and I simply don't trust them. I don't know what everybody thinks when they see someone in these circumstances, but yeah, to me, someone who has integrity um, automatically gains my respect, and most of the times I use that person as an example to follow. And that is one way of how people can be an unintentional unintentional leader. And so, yeah, I that's basically everything I wanted to add to the conversation. That yeah, integrity, it's very important to inspire and to gain people's respect and trust. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. And thank you for that. Integrity is extremely important. If our words and actions aren't in alignment, you have it demonstrates a lack of integrity, and it's going to be very difficult for people to trust you as a leader. So it's very important. And integrity is big for me as well, Valeria. I need to see what you're saying if I'm going to follow you. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. So thank you for coming up again and coming back to the space and sharing that with us. And and I will say this as well. Don't add that little qualifier at the end. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say or share, because what you shared was valuable. So even if it's one simple point that you all want to make, and this is for everyone, don't try to stay away from the qualifiers as though what you're saying isn't significant, because it is. It doesn't have to be, or you don't have to consider it to be profound, because you never know how profound it may be in someone else's mind. So just share your thought and be okay with it. This was what I wanted to share. Thank you. Don't say basically, or that's all, or I just wanted to make that simple point, because it's valid either way. So don't do that to yourselves. So now let's go over to, it was Odiambo. Philip, how are you, Philip?
Yeah, good morning, Kim. It's very refreshing just as I'm doing my dishes here and I'm listening in. The topic is very timely. It comes at a time when leadership is a quality which you have to learn on your own. It's never taught in school. That's I'm speaking from my experience. And for me, good to see Josh down there. Good to see you, team. Good to see Ask Intuition. And one of the qualities of a leader is they don't see you as competition, where they see you as partner. They see you have more collaboration. And team, I met team through Josh. Josh runs an innovative think tank every Saturday, and I was back in Kenya back then, sometime in last year, and it would be 1 a.m. because by then I was homeless. I was homeless in the streets of Nairobi, and I would just hop onto Josh's space, and it will be 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in Nairobi. And he'll always be kind. He'll be like, hey, just grab the mic. You never know. Just like Tim is saying, just grab the mic.
Odhiambo.
Yep.
Odhiambo, literally you're...
Hello?
Oh, go ahead, Adiambo.
Okay. So you can imagine I'm homeless. That was last year. And the only thing I have which gives me balance is a phone. And I hop on spaces, and it's 1 a.m. It's a cold night in Nairobi. I'm hungry, and I'm with a bunch of prostitutes, armed robbers, thugs, drug dealers, because that's the only place I found safe. Then I'm here tuned into Josh's space, and Josh is like, "Hey, there's an African here. Hey, hop on, don't fear, just grab the mic." And I just grabbed the mic and I said, "Hey, thank you for the space. I'm learning." And to me, that was leadership. A good
Odhiambo,
leader.
I'm talking about now. Can you essentially emphasize people are being
What's
kidnapped?
okay? So what's my name? Can you hold on for a second? We don't
I
interrupt people
can't hold on.
when
I
they're
can't
speaking.
hold on.
Huh?
No, listen.
No.
Hello.
I need you to listen. So we don't interrupt people like that when they're speaking. We give them an opportunity to finish.
Okay. But I need to be given a chance to.
Okay. And
I've been waiting.
you.
I've been waiting. I've joined the space for a while now, and
So
I've been waiting.
what's my name? There are several people that are waiting, and we actually, and see, this is a great example now, just for everyone, how life can happen. We have to make sure that we remain patient when we're going through circumstances and situations, because you never know when your breakthrough is coming. And just so you know, what's my name is the very next person on the list. So we don't want to get to the point where our breakthrough is about to happen and we give up and quit or lose sight of who we are and what it is that we bring to the table. So what's my name? You're next, and I want to give you an opportunity, but I don't plan to debate with you about being respectful to other people that are speaking. Fair enough?
I'll try my best.
You know, we'll do it. Because when someone tells me they'll try, in my mind, they're telling me that they're giving themselves an excuse not to do it. Because if you end up not doing it, then you can say, well, I said I would try. So I like to say,
Okay.
well, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
From your reply, the one that is great intro for new speakers of those wanting to speak and not.
What's my name? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Be patient.
No.
Everyone else was patient when.
Okay. So let's get back here. Philip, you were finished, or you were sharing your thought. What? And I apologize for that. So we have
It's
to.
fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
fine. It's and that's one of the leadership qualities is you have to accommodate everyone and give them a chance. And for me, I think as a good leader, I listen a lot, but I also have the time and space to draw my boundaries. Because if someone is talking and you cross talk someone, it tells a lot about who you are as a person, whether we come from a country or not. So you see, and for me, I find it very disrespectful where I've been given a chance to talk and someone cross talks me. I find that as someone who comes from Kenya, East Africa, when I get an opportunity to speak abroad, that to me is huge. You know, the story I was telling, I didn't even finish my story. So what's my name? I know you come from Kenya, but at times I struggle a lot. I struggle with my countrymen because we don't have the emotional stamina, mental stamina to listen and read the room. Your points may be valid, but read the room. So, like I was saying, Tim, and apologies for that. One of the things I need to say it clear here. And Tim, I respect you very much. Josh is down there. I respect Josh very much. Both of you have advised me on a personal level. Both of you have never judged me, but I'm judged at home. So for me, to cut my story short, last year, the whole of last year, I was homeless. I lost everything that I ever worked for. I lost my house. I lost my family. And everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody labeled me a psycho. You see, back in Kenya, I did so many things for my country. During crisis, I developed a digital strategy to actually help the country during Al-Shabaab attacks, COVID pandemic, which I led those campaigns. So you find that people like me who are very innovative, who are very creative, who come up with solutions, are actually sidelined, are muffled, are discriminated, are labeled stupid. I don't know who was talking earlier here who was saying that she had a form of special disability where she stayed away from. I don't know who. I missed that talk team. I'm in the spectrum. I have autism. So you find people like me get dismissed as crazy a lot. People like me get sidelined just because I have a disability. And it really sucks that someone can step on stage and just interrupt me just because they are burning to talk about something. I know my country is burning. I know about it. And that's what's my name want to say. But you find that my country is burning because of lack of leadership. And that's what Tim is talking about here. A good leader is defined by integrity. A good leader is defined by, having emotional intelligence, getting to understand your people, getting to accommodate everyone, where you don't choose people based on their bias or tribe. And for me, when I look at my country right now, it lacks leadership. Leadership from religion, from politics, from family values. If you don't lack a leader in your family, first of all, you'll struggle being in leadership. And for me, the best leader I never had in my family was my father. My father died in my hands. So you find that some of us, we struggle a lot with no college education, no university education. How did I advise the UN? How did I advise the Red Cross? How did I advise government for a decade? So you find people like me are not given leadership positions because the leaders who are in those positions don't have integrity, don't have honor, don't have the compassion to care. So what I did for the last decade, I helped my country. I developed a blood strategy for the blood bank. I've been to morgues. I know death. So for me, leadership is about a leader, first of all, having an eye for everyone, whether it's a poor person, whether it's a person with disability. A leader is someone who's supposed to have multiple personalities, where you can think as a child, where you can think as a grandmother, where you can think as a mother, you can think as a widow, you can think as a drug addict, you can think as an orphan. And to me, team, what you're talking about, you're giving people a space to actually learn about leadership, to learn about leadership doesn't come from school, it comes from within you. And it's a simple things like just going into a room and listening, learning from people. And for me, what I learned from Josh last year, you can imagine, I'm homeless. I'm in a drug den. And I had Josh speaking, they're talking about innovative think tank. And he gave me hope. He's like, hey, dude, you're smart. Can you imagine being homeless in a drug den? You're given a space to speak in a global forum, and then nobody discriminates you. Everybody holds your hand. Everybody guides you. As we talk right now, through Tim and Josh, and Josh, you have no idea what you're working with tech in schools. We're actually working on a campaign. Through Josh's space, I've been able to meet more autistic people who heard my story. And they told me, Philip, you saved my life. I was suicidal. This is someone from California, from someone in the Silicon Valley, who is in the tech community. He's like, I struggle like you. I am a software developer. I'm always called stupid. I'm always labeled. We don't honor people. Just because you know one thing, you accommodate other people. Learn from a janitor in the toilet. Learn from a street sweeper. Learn from a homeless person. And that's where I learned from. So for me, it pains me a lot. I struggle. Josh, you do not know this. I think I'm the first African to sit on the global Twitter beta testing team where I got an opportunity to test Twitter Spaces. That was 3 years ago. I don't talk about it because when you speak about it, people push you aside that I'm bragging. Oh, it's always about you. So you end up keeping quiet. So, team, what you're saying today, telling people, hey, just grab the mic, just say something, say hi, say your name. You never know. That's an opportunity. I'm very disappointed. You come into a space, you're from my country. I'm very disappointed. Thanks, team.
Yes, and thank you, Philip. And I hope things have turned around from that, from what last year was, that it's a much better position to be in. And I would just say, to your point, well, first thing I'll say is when people have what is considered a disability, I've learned to not call it a disability. I now call it a different ability. There's people that are on the spectrum, they see things differently. And it doesn't mean that they are disabled. It means that they're able to approach life from a different perspective than what other people perceive it, not perceive it, but perceive it or approach life. It's a different ability. You have the ability, which you may be required to think a little more deeply about circumstances. There's a deeper level of emotional intelligence that you demonstrate, I would say naturally, because you're trying to compensate for something that you feel you don't have like other people may have. And it's just a different ability. And when you stop to listen to some of the comments that people on the spectrum make, you hear the depth and the thoughtfulness of what it is that they're saying because they are very intentional about what they do in many cases. Sometimes it can be hard and difficult, but they tend to be very honest about what they're saying as well in many cases. So it's a different ability. And also, Philip, and for everyone else, we have to find our people sometimes. And the environments that we want to be in may not be the environments that we need to be in. And when you find yourself constantly being rejected by certain people, then that isn't your place. A cactus can't grow in the pond like a lily pad can't grow in the desert. So you have to find the environment that's going to allow you to thrive based on what it is that you bring to the table. For years, I worked on my resume trying to find a job, trying to find a different position, and I couldn't. People would look at it and they would say, "Well, I'm not sure what you're trying to do. You know, what are you trying to accomplish? Where are you trying to go?" But at the end of the day, what I was doing wasn't necessarily. It was difficult to explain and express what my skills were, what my value really was, because I can go into any environment and thrive. But I only go unless I'm led to be there. But I can go, I'm comfortable enough to say that I can go into any environment and be able to thrive because I put in the work to understand how to excel wherever I am. But at the same time, it took several years for me to find a place where I was able to find that role where people appreciated and respected what it was that I brought to the table. And it was about 10 years ago. Up until about 10 years ago, it took me to find that because I didn't really understand how to explain who I was and the value that I brought to the table. And that's why now I can say that it's there. You just have to understand it and figure out how you can articulate what it is you bring to the table, but also be comfortable enough to walk away from the places that people don't appreciate what it is that you bring because they'll never give you what you're worth when they don't appreciate who you are or what you have to offer. Mama B, go ahead. I see your hand.
Just want to briefly say, Tim, you said earlier, and you always say this, but today it just landed differently because of the word that you use at the end. You say, do not be afraid of the moment. But this time you said people. Do not be afraid of the moment, people. And that really struck me so different because there was just such a passion in which you said it, and you said the people. And so, Odiambo, listening to you just brought that home that, do not be afraid of the moment, people, because of what you just did in this room today. And, I think many times we don't recognize that these spaces are actually the opportunities that you always talk about, Tim. They're not just us sitting around the table, much as, we'd like to think that, but they're actually global opportunities, like Odiambo said. So thank you, Odiambo, for coming up here. That was totally inspirational. What a room today. What a space today, Tim. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mama B. And we never know. We never know what we say, how it's going to land for people, and how it's going to impact them. So I encourage everyone, share what's in your heart because it's important. It makes a difference. So let's go now over to, let's see, I tried to bring Kevin back up because I know Kevin was up as a speaker or was requesting. So Kevin, if you're able to, well, he may not be able to hear. Okay. So let's go now over to, let's keep moving. Let me check one more. So let's go now to then Dr. Allison. Dr. Allison, how are you, sir? Welcome to the space. And doctor is doctor.
Hello, team. Hello, everybody. Mama B, I see you. Can you guys hear me? I've been having a bit of network issues here.
Yes, sir. We can hear you well.
All right. I had to do a lot of things quickly to meet up with this space. And to be very honest, I'm really, really excited to be here. The topic, discovering the leader in you. Okay, I'll just do a little introduction for those of you that don't know me. Right. My name is Allison. I'm an educational psychologist, a professional psychotherapist practicing in West Africa, Nigeria. Now, when I saw this topic, right, discovering the leader in you, it caught my attention. I, for one, when dealing with people, I like to pay attention to the subject, not the object. And in this case, the subject is you. People ask me, why don't you like to, expand your view? I said it's basic. Our expansion is basically from a point. You need to have a point of origin, and understanding human dynamics cannot be done if you do not understand your own self. This is why we can be on a space and someone comes up and interrupts another person speaking. Right? I'm just using that as a case study. A lot of us do not understand our own dynamics. How do you react to things? How do you feel about actions towards you? If for true we understand these dynamics, it will be easy for us to understand other people. it'll be easy for us to navigate through the emotions, through the actions, through the characters of every other person. Now, let me just dive straight into the conversation. Discovering the leader in you. Now, for time when I've had to speak with people, when we talk about leadership or the term leader, our mind just goes to a particular institution. Maybe a team, maybe an organization, maybe a state or something, or maybe being kept in the forefront of a movement or something, right? And guess what? This has caused a lot of limitation. I will take an instance. I listened to my brother Philip speak and I was really, really impressed, right? There was something he said. He said he has not been given the opportunity to be kept in a leadership position. Now, this is one of the limitations we might have. Sometimes we do not know this. It just stays there in our subconscious. We feel like there has to be an institution. There has to be something that we need to be in charge of for us to be qualified as leaders. That is why this topic, I do not know what came over team. I don't know how you thought about this topic, but it's deeper than we can even imagine. Discovering the leader in you. Maybe our views are just basically how to be the leader of our team, maybe to handle position given to us. But I'm going to take us a little bit out of that. Okay? For every single person listening to me right now, there's a leader in you. And it has no limitation. It has no boundaries. It has no restriction. Forget the societal, creation of institutions that has limited. This is what people have done to control. I wouldn't want to go through that. These are like lots of theories that would take the whole of our day. But there are lots of things people have passed down from generation to generation, ideologies, beliefs, and all of that to create the kind of a restriction in our mind. So you see people saying, oh, I'm a follower. Oh, this one is meant to be a leader because they are unable to mentally attain that position. I bet you, if you're unable to process or attain a position mentally, in the reality, it is not going to exist for you. You see people that come up and say, oh, he's a wonderful public speaker, he's a wonderful therapist, or whatsoever. They have been able to subconsciously, consciously attain and get a grip of that position in their mind. So these limitations have been created to restrict a lot of us from attaining that. The leader I'm talking about in you has to do with you. It has to do more with you. Do you understand? Like I said before, understanding human dynamics, we have to get a case study, and that is you. I like to put the you. That's why this topic interests me so much in view, because everything starts from you. We can create a better state, country, community from you. We are almost 90 people in this space, right? Imagine every single person here gets to work on themselves, gets to, discover the leader in them. I promise you, for every single place each of us step into, there's going to be influence and change. I heard, when I came on the space, I heard Sarah speaking. Sorry I'm taking much time. I've had to wait to say this, right? I heard Sarah speak, and I for one, remember when I used to battle with inferiority complex a lot. And coming to hear her speak so confidently, so full of authority, not restricted in her mind by any idea whatsoever, any belief whatsoever, was inspiring. I promise you, she has led a lot of us into bringing out our opinions, into challenging our thoughts, into developing our own 2 cents on this space. I promise you, whatever you might have in your head, if you came when Sarah was speaking, I promise you, you are going to definitely rewrite what you had in your head. I promise you. That right there has to do with doing the inner work. It's a lot of work, I promise. Inspiration is the word I'll use today. How much do you inspire yourself? You need to shine. My dad always tells me, right? You can't give what you do not have. If you're able to give what you do not have, then you're a thief. It's not even logically possible, right? Now, how can you give the leadership position or leadership influence if you do not have it? And how can you understand that you have this leadership influence in you? Is to understand yourself. human dynamics, maybe on a better space, on a different space. I'll talk about the dynamics of humanity, of a human being, or our minds and all of that. I'll talk about that. But for now, I just want you to pay attention to the fact that you should not allow yourself to be limited by these institutions, these ideas, or it has to be a state, or there has to be something. You can let your light shine. I can walk into this room and everybody would listen to me. I do not have to be called the governor. I do not have to be called the president. I do not have to be called the chairman or chairperson. Once I come in, I open my mouth to speak. I promise you will listen to me. My light is definitely going to shine through. You let your light shine through your words. You let your light shine through your actions. You let your light shine through your composure, your aura. That's what Sarah did here. She came up and I had a different thing to speak about. In fact, my notepad was all lined up. But look at me talking about something absolutely different. All I'm going to say today is make sure you let your light shine. Forget about whatsoever idea that has been given to you by the society, by the world at large. There's a leader in you, and that can shine. Thank you very much, team. Sorry for much time taken. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let your light shine. That's a great way to summarize everything we've said today. Let your light shine. There is a light inside of you that's waiting to be revealed. And what do lights do? They create a clear path for people to be able to see. Lights illuminate the darkness. Lights reveal things that are hidden. So let your light shine, everyone. Let your light shine. Thank you for that, Dr. Allison. Mama B, I saw your hand go up.
Yes, light the candle. I always say in these rooms, in these spaces on this platform, that when we do spaces and when we come up to speak in spaces, we are lighting the candle, because it's easy to curse the darkness and all of the other stuff and the shenanigans that are happening, but we are lighting the candle. So thank you, Dr. Allison. But I just want to also say that the real McCoy is having issues raising her hand, my friend Lori, and I'm not sure where in line she is, but her hand is supposed to be raised. She's tried so many times, and she's been talking in the chat about it. Thank you, Tim.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. And just so everyone knows, when something is in the chat, I understand myself, and I can't read the chat and then listen at the same time. So I always have to make a choice, and I have to listen when people are speaking. So what we can do, because I did see Lori's hand go up earlier, so we'll go back to Lori now. So we'll go to Lori, then some Tuchukwu, Ami, and then it will be Nukes. And then after Nukes, what we're going to do is we'll see if we have a moment maybe to do a challenge or two. So I want you all to be thinking about that. Be thinking about the challenge. And I actually may let that be Nuke's first introduction to the space, doing a challenge. We never know. So the real McCoy, welcome to the space. How are you today?
Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully you can hear me. This is my very first time on, I want to say Twitter Spaces, but I guess it's just Spaces or X Spaces, I don't know, but I appreciate Mama, I call her Mabatu, or Mama Zala, her helping me out. Tim, I'm enjoying all of the conversation around leadership and confidence. I want to say that what I have come to know through working with other people and creating workshops and having this be such a common question, how do I become confident, or how do I become a good speaker? And I always say it's through clarity, because I believe when you're clear about something, then you can be confident on it, right? You can't be confident on something that you don't know anything about, or that you haven't researched, or that you haven't prepared for. And if you're going to do a speech or presentation, or even if you're going to come on a space like this, I think that it encompasses three things, which is preparedness, clarity, and practice. You want to be a really great speaker or do anything, the more you practice it, the better you will become. And I just have appreciated so many nuggets that have come through you, Tim, and so many other speakers. And I appreciate the way that you run the space as well. And for myself, I think that I've really been, and a lot of us have really been, all three of the types of leadership qualities. Like I've been a traditional leader. I've been an inspirational leader, and the last one was, I think, an unexpected leader. And my feeling is I'm more of the traditional leader, where if I know something, I love to do something, that involves leadership with it. But I'm also okay with stepping back. And I think a true leader has that sense of humility to say, I don't know about this thing, and I want the best person who knows about this thing to lead the space, because you care so much and so deeply about the people who will receive that message, that you're willing to take a step back. And I feel that place of humility is the place of power. Like you know that if you're not leading, you're still in a position to offer an asset somewhere. And true leaders also have no problem with other people rising above them at some point, because what is the meat and potatoes of leadership? It is the caring and the success of others, because why else are you there? So I just want to share those tidbits of things that came up for me as y'all were speaking. Thank you again for having me. And again, please know that I'm new, so I'm not aware of how this all works, but I appreciate the space. Take care.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining. Thank you for coming up to share that there's preparedness, clarity, and practice that goes into doing this. And then also the humility. And I do consider humility to be a superpower. I feel like that's probably my biggest superpower, humility, because it's so important, and it requires a lot of strength when you know you have the answer and someone chooses to debate you about it. Humility says you have the ability and the strength to let someone have the win. They may have a good response, but it may not be the best response. Humility says, I'm okay with you giving your response and not telling you that, well, what you're saying is partially true, but this was what really would change the world. And it's being okay with that. So we don't have to win when you are willing to accept a position of humility. You're willing to allow other people to win. You are willing to show other people that they matter, and you're willing to sacrifice for others when you choose a position of humility as a leader or just as an individual in general. It's a superpower in my mind. Mama B, I see your hand.
Yes, I had to come and say something after Lori. Lori, thank you for joining. I've been talking about Tim, the space, for so long now with Lori from Clubhouse. And so I thank you for coming, and thank you for being up here and participating. I appreciate that so much, and I love you, girl. And that humility thing, I had already written it down on my notes here, that it really is, because many times as leaders, or when we look at leaders, we think that even as we're leading in our own families with our children, we think that humbling ourselves to our children, humbling ourselves to whoever we are leading is actually diminishing. It diminishes us, but it actually enlarges us when we are humble and we have the humility to apologize, or we are even vulnerable, because it does take courage. It does take strength to do all of that. And today we saw that with you, Tim, when you handled the situation earlier. You sounded the same level of tone as you sounded before and now, and yet you were dealing with a difficult situation. And that was leadership, and how emotional intelligence can really put you on another level of leadership. So we are learning, even as we're in this room, just listening and watching how you are handling your leadership here, Tim. So thank you for exemplifying that. We are learning. I'm done.
Thank you for that, Mama B. And that's what I want everyone in here to be prepared for, the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen when you put yourself in uncomfortable positions and situations, like accepting random topic challenges in this space, coming up to speak when there may be 60, 70, sometimes in some spaces over 100 people listening to you. You realize that you don't know what's going to happen. And when you allow those moments to take place, you realize that it isn't as bad as you think, that you don't really have to be afraid of those moments. And you begin to understand how to process your thoughts more effectively and more efficiently so that you're able to respond based on your character. But it goes back to what Dr. Allison said and what we've said as well earlier, that you have to know yourself and you have to have that level of emotional intelligence, that humility, that you don't allow those circumstances to shake you and rattle you. Learn to gather yourself, take that moment and pause, take a deep breath and process what's going on. And I find myself in circumstances where, just say working with the sound, the audio visual, and something goes wrong and it seems like something is broken and out of place, and people will panic and everyone's afraid to make a move or make a decision to do something. But at the end of the day, in this moment, we know something is broken. So let's take an action that will potentially fix it and not get stuck worrying about, oh my God, this is messed up. I don't know what to do. If we make a decision, it could make things worse. But at the end of the day, if you don't make a decision, it's just as bad as being worse already. So get comfortable with the unexpected and don't be afraid of what you can't see, because there will be things happening in your lifetime at some point in time that you did not have an opportunity to plan for. But when we learn to not be afraid of that, we allow our brains the opportunity to focus and spend the energy on a resolution as opposed to processing the fear, which creates a barrier. And I give this example when I think about focusing on fear. It's like, imagine standing in your brain, in your head, your person, your personality, or there's a person inside your head, and there's this brick wall, and behind the wall is your information. It's all this gold and golden nuggets stored behind this brick wall. So what happens is, if you begin to take those opportunities and chances, like speaking in this space, doing the challenges, you begin to chip away at that brick wall. And the more you chip away at the brick wall, pulling out pieces here and there, you gain more access to all that wisdom you've accumulated over the years. This big pile of golden nuggets that are hidden away behind that brick wall of fear, because the wall is fear. That's what keeps us away from the information and a lot of the ability that we have. So begin to chip away at that wall by taking these opportunities to speak in the space, taking these opportunities to do the challenges, and you begin to learn how to go quickly. Your brain is able to more quickly access those golden nuggets without the barrier of fear that has kept us away from it for so long. And I would dare to say for too long in many of our lives. Knock that wall down and get access to this information and wisdom, because you have it. It's already there, but you're allowing the fear to keep you from it. So I just say that, get comfortable with it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, and you'll learn how to embrace those moments. You'll actually look for those moments. And for those of you that may not have been here earlier in the space at the beginning, I actually told everyone that I'm going to do a challenge just to put myself on the spot, because I want to do a different type of random topic where it's going to be a little bit expanded and extended. Instead of the 60 seconds that we do, I'm going to take a random topic that you all decide and you all choose collectively, and I'm going to discuss it and see if I can just facilitate a conversation or discussion the way I kind of speak for about 10 minutes or so, and do that with a random topic, just to show you we're all growing. And it's okay that you make mistakes, but we have to be willing to take the risks and be intentional if we want to achieve the type of success that you deserve to have in your lifetime. So that's going to be fun. And I'm still excited about that opportunity to see how that goes, where it's not just 60 seconds to speak about a random topic, but maybe 5 to 10 minutes to turn it into a lesson, essentially, of some sort. So that's going to be fun. So let's go now over to, we have, Ami. How are you, Ami? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Tim. Earlier you said Som Tuche was before me, and then
right.
me.
Yes, you're right. Thank you for that. Som Tuchukwu. How are you? Did I get it right again?
Hi. Yeah.
Okay.
One more. Can you call it one more time?
Sum Tuchukwu.
No, you are wrong this time. But it's okay. It's Sum Tuchukwu. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Yes. So, I'm a Nigerian. For those of you that were not here last week, I'm a recent graduate of engineering. So, currently starting out my career. Discovering the leader in you. I think I so much agree with what Dr. Allison said. Truth remains that you can't give what you don't.
I'm sorry, Sum Tuchukwu? Are you using AirPods or some type of headset? It sounds muffled, or it sounds distorted on my end.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go. Much better.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry, I think I would have to go over again, right? So my name is Somto Chukwu. I'm a Nigerian, a recent graduate. So currently starting out my career. For those of you that were not here last week. So regarding the topic, discovering the leader in you, I so much agree with what Dr. Allison said. Truth remains that you can't give what you don't have. It doesn't work. For you to be a great leader, you must have to lead yourself first, right? You must have to have that self-control, ability to control your emotions, ability to, learn how to respect people, and all of this. As a leader, if you're not a loving type of person, if you don't have love within you, you can't expect to love people you are leading. So basically, I agree with what he said, and I've been opportuned to serve in various leadership positions. While a student, I was the class representative for my class. Was also a student volunteer for IEEE, Institute of Electrical Electronics Engineering. Then in my 1 year of national service for my country, I was a volunteer for the ICT Community Development Service Group, where I had to organize my fellow fresh graduates to undertake community development projects, creating sensitization awareness on IT career awareness for high school students. So one key thing I've learned from these leadership positions I've held, they were as a result of a burning desire within me to make impact, to make positive impact in my community. I mean, it's very unfortunate that one of the major challenges facing my country, Nigeria, and the world at large is bad leadership. The world is yearning for good leaders. And when we talk about, we mentioned leaders having the ability to inspire people. I must have to point out that you being a leader, inspiring people should be in the positive direction, not in the negative aspects, because we've had leaders in history who inspired their people to, do sort of negative things. So yeah, for you to be a leader, for you to be a great leader, you must have to lead yourself first. And you must have to also ask yourself this key question: what will you be remembered for when you are no more? What will you be remembered for? I recently got a call from some of my schoolmates. They rightly pointed out to me that the community project we did for the school, the trees we planted in the school environment, in the school community, that is providing shade for them during the sunny days and all of that. That's a great legacy for me, right? So we should ask ourselves this key question: what do we want to be remembered for when we are no longer here? What legacies are we leaving behind for the future generations? Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And congratulations on all the experience that you've received up until this point. And it only grows, and you just have to continue to put yourself in those positions, and all of you can do it. Don't be afraid to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions where you may feel like you have overextended your capabilities or your level of understanding. That's how you grow. Because if you're constantly doing what you already know, you don't expand, you don't grow. And I want you to keep growing. And being being those examples is very important. So I really appreciate what you shared there, and keep doing what you're doing, and congratulations, on that achievement, completing the studies that you have completed so far. And I know there are going to be some big things ahead for you. So keep doing what you're doing, sir. So let's go
Thank
over.
you, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go over now Ami. And thank you everyone for being here. And what we're going to do is we're going to, after we have Ami, we've got Nukes, Darren, Blim, and then Jules. And I see that also, let me get this, Imosuk. I'm not sure. So I'll go with green E. Yeah. So E, you're going to be after Jules. And then that's going to be the final speaker that we have for today. So I want to go ahead and go now to Ami.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Tim. Hello, Mama B. Thank you for having me up. As always, great space. Loving the conversation so far. And the topic of leadership and discovering the leader in you is something that I don't think about often enough. Perhaps I don't think I'm qualified to be in any kind of leadership positions. I'm usually a good foot soldier, like taking direction, doing as I'm told, but to be in a leadership position is something that I'm learning how to do with my job, and it's been fascinating so far. So, I love this topic. I was recently put in a position or a situation where I was given the opportunity to, and unexpectedly, I had to, as Mama B was speaking about earlier, to embody and exemplify quote unquote leadership. I didn't invite the moment. The moment or situation was sort of thrust upon me, if that makes sense. And my job, my reputation, my character, my skills, everything you can think of, my personality, these things were challenged by a complete stranger and a bad actor or troll in a public forum, which was interesting. I first chose silence to just let them speak, just let them get it all out. There was a lot of bitterness, a lot of venom, and I chose silence. I let them go on for about an hour. But then I chose to speak my heart and mind with confidence, because that's something I'm trying to work on, thanks to your spaces, Tim. And this situation required an insurmountable level of empathy, patience, altruism, grace. And it was an uncomfortable situation to be in. I was actually terrified, but I was inspired to speak, and I essentially became my father in that moment. My father's a colonel, retired, and he used to train pilots, and he always pressed upon me this idea of having patience. And if I'm going to be successful in life, I need to be patient with other people. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. In the end, I think the person was surprised that I said what I said. I tried to do it in the most dignified way that I could. I'm terrible at expressing myself in prose, in words. I find I'm better expressing myself through my poetry. So all I did was just read them a poem that I had written that made me think of them and their predicament. And I tried my hardest not to take it personally. I just said, I'm going to share something with you that I think you might be able to understand, because clearly you have misunderstood me. And that's a personal attack, and that's not what I need right now. So I just read the poem, and they walked away in peace. And I was satisfied that I wouldn't be attacked by them again in the future, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I just read them a poem about the end the end of things and the beginning of something new, and I think they enjoyed it, and they had nothing else to say afterwards. So I think I did my job. uh, just to like let bygones be bygones. I'm not taking anything personally. You do you, boo boo, and I'll do me, Kiki, and that's basically my share. Again, thank you for having me up. Thank you for holding these spaces. Thank you for everything you do for this community. Thank you for everything you do for people like myself who have speech impediments or English isn't their first language. Thank you for Mama B, for the post earlier in the nest. I think it was you. Someone commented in the Purple Pill about all the different types of leadership that can exist. And when I saw in the comments, unexpected, something that's thrust upon you and you're kind of put on the spot and there's an audience and this person is attacking your character, it's like, okay, how do I navigate this? You know what I mean? So yeah, I just wanted to come up and share that very recent, very, very, very recent experience with you all. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Army. My name's actually Armina, but I go by Army on social media because I require some level of, what's the word? Anonymity for my own personal safety while I'm practicing confident speaking online in public forums, and I volunteer for a mental health charity, as Tim knows. So patience, guys, is the key. That's what my father taught me. So thank you for the mic and thank you for my time. I'm now going to drop down to listener and appreciate you all. God bless.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And one of the things we described earlier when it comes to ways to display leadership was to try new approaches. And she did just that. By using a poem instead of lashing out, she remained patient and she listened attentively and she wrote a poem to express how she felt. So that was absolutely a different approach that if anyone else were to see it, it could have been an aha moment for them or those people who struggle with responding to animosity and hostility. It isn't always easy to respond to someone that's approaching you with a hostile state of mind. It can be very uncomfortable, especially for those who are a little more tentative or timid, that haven't had, or maybe were brought up in an environment where it was very difficult and you were told not to say anything, to keep your mouth shut. And it can be difficult when someone is lashing out at you. So I commend you, Ami, for doing that. That was a new approach. And you probably created a new standard for some people as well. And I've also encouraged this for couples in relationships. When you find yourself at a point where you are having a difficult time communicating, expressing your thoughts and sharing things that are absolutely important for you to be able to move forward. Write it down, write a letter, write notes to one another. That way you can't be interrupted. What are they going to do? Try to interrupt the letter and say something so your words will no longer be on the paper? Write it down and share it. That way you have an opportunity to process what you're feeling. You're able to clearly articulate what you're feeling, and if you say something that maybe you don't really need to say, you have an opportunity to erase it and correct it. Because when we say things that are hurtful, that we should not have said, you can't unsay it once it's been said. Even if you apologize, once it comes out of your mouth, you can't really take it back. And you never know how damaging some of the things we say can be. So kudos to you, Ami, for trying a different approach with this person. And again, this same thing can work in your relationships, people. So be mindful, write things down. And that also allows you time to, as you're processing, to calm down and settle down. And it may even help you realize that maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong perspective. It may not be as bad as I was thinking. maybe I was in my feelings. And that time to write gives you a moment to be mindful. It gives you a moment to understand, and it gives you a moment to think. So kudos, Ami. Kudos to you. So let's go now over to Nukes. Nukes, how are you, Nukes? Welcome to the
Hello.
space. Hello,
Thank you,
hello.
Tim. Thank you, everyone. Hello, Graceful Souls. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this beautiful topic, discovering the leader in you. Wow. Okay, let me start. First, if I remember, maybe 1 year ago, I would not be able to even raise my hand or request a mic or something like that. It is like, for me, I am naturally an introvert, so I had to do a lot of effort to speak up and talk and socialize. Like, I remember first time I got chance to speak in public was in video game. So I was playing video game, talking to people, and I was very shaky because even my English wasn't good. Later on, I discovered Discord, meets community, and I think was the point where I get over fear of public speaking a bit, mostly because the environment was supportive. My English was really, really bad, and still people listen and try to understand. And just in a couple months with them, I improve a lot. But the fear of public speaking still with me from there until last year when I participated in many events as a host, co-host, speaking with camera on. And I remember first time, first event was like my hand was shaking, like sweating. I lost my voice. I was like, I bit the mic to recover my voice, drink water. My heart was like beating so much, like it's. I was like, like it, that's gonna be the end or something. Uh, yeah, and like the event talking to audience like plus 100 person in this beginning was quite shocking. I tried to calm myself down in that moment, and in minute or so, a couple minutes, I get control back, and events after events, that fear go away, and like it's become my comfort zone a bit. But I did a lot of work to get here, to be able to like speak, and that I didn't mention, and I want to share some of that work to people that still in the journey to get here. One of big thing is to find supportive environment like this space, like to be able to speak, like no one gonna judge you here, just pick the mic and like talk. The other thing that make a lot of difference is hypnosis. So I use a lot of hypnosis. If someone doesn't know hypnosis, you can Google it, you can chat GPT it. Basically, it's a process where you can go to your subconscious mind and reprogram your subconscious mind, your belief. You can go to YouTube and type. Tim, do you want to say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is I'm thinking too long? I can stop.
Well, I want to stay closer to discovering the leader in you. So, and I know you're kind of sharing your experience of becoming comfortable speaking. So as we delving into hypnosis, and I just want to stay closer to the topic that we're discussing as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me shift a bit.
Okay.
So basically, through this process, I found out that there is a person inside me who is like the leader, because this leader was hiding through a lot of insecurity and thoughts that was like blocking me from connecting with that leader. And like my advice to everyone here is like you need to do some certain work to get over this insecurity and thoughts, so you can shine the you true leader, because we're all leaders in our unique way. I would like to ask a question to the audience. There's like no need to answer it. Just observe what's going in your mind, and this question will expose some of your belief or thought that's stopping you from being or discovering your leader. Is that okay, Tim, if I ask this question?
You can pose it so people can have something to think about. Yes, you can pose the question.
I mean, like, it's gonna be like an audio question. Is this okay? Because I want to give it the feeling of the question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, like, while you're listening right now, if you have a pen and paper, get them close to you, and I'm gonna ask you this question, and notice the thoughts that's gonna come to your mind. And so, the question gonna start now. So please request the mic and come to the stage to discuss with us discovering the leader in you. I'm gonna repeat it, and notice the thought that's gonna come to your mind is trying to stop you from doing that, and you need to write it down. Please request the mic and come to this beautiful space to discuss with us discovering the leader in you. Please request the mic.
Well, we've kind of notified everyone that the final speaker was going to be Jules today, so they can definitely post it in the chat. That would be awesome if they posted in the chat. That way, anyone that comes after the space will be able to see it. So that would be great. So if you all want to do that, by all means, please post that in the chat. It would be great to know what comes to mind when you think about that. The idea of discovering the leader in you. What comes to mind? And that will be great reflection for us as well to kind of reinforce what we've discussed. Because as we said earlier, it's one thing to discuss it, but it's another to actually implement. It's when you execute, when you implement the things that you learned, that you get to realize the value that actually comes along with the information. Information is great to have. We need information and knowledge, but we have to understand how to apply it. So I appreciate that, Nukes. That's a good one. That's
Thank
great.
You, Tim.
Yes.
Thank you for this amazing space. Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy and proud of you for being on the journey that you've been on. You know, like you said a year ago, where you probably would not have been able to do this, but in spite of not speaking the native language that is happening in a lot, well, because there's so many spaces that are going on that aren't in English. So let me back that up. So being in an English speaking space that's natively hosted by English or in English, to be able to not speak the language natively and still be comfortable enough, but actually understanding your journey and your process and getting to a point that you aren't afraid to do that. So I want to commend you and really applaud you for doing that, Nukes. And I've heard you speak in Donika's space and in another space as well. So I'm glad that you're doing that. And you too are demonstrating your leadership by showing people that it's okay to take chances. You put yourself out there and you share the information that's on your heart. So thank you for that, Nukes.
Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. So let's go now to Darren. So we got Darren, Blim, Jules.
Hello, Uncle Tim.
Hello,
I'm
Darren.
outside the garden. Hello. Can you hear me all right, yeah?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic. Say hi to Laurie. I noticed Laurie's jumped over from Clubhouse over to X. It's nice to have her here. See a lot of people doing that. I wish I had done it sooner, if I'm honest. Wish I'd done it sooner. I'm definitely a different... No, because me and Mama B have spoken about it. I think, and this is tying up with the leadership thing, Clubhouse gave me the opportunity to work through so much of my speaking abilities, confidence, lack of confidence, all of that kind of stuff. And to see who I am now, to who I was over there, I remember I used to do rooms over there, because we call them rooms over there, not spaces. And I couldn't do them. Now I'm doing like two spaces a week, right? Don't even plan it. You know, I just get the inspiration. I'm just like, right, I'm doing it. I don't care who comes. And by me not caring, by me not overthinking, they definitely turn out to be the best spaces. I mean, Maze was the person over on Clubhouse who was Maram over there, right? Who said to me, she was like, Darren, you're overthinking too much. My best rooms are the ones where I don't think about it. I just put it on and I just roll with it. And those ones, and she does marathon spaces or rooms that last for like 12 hours, right? I can't do that yet, but I see what she's saying. When you don't overthink and you trust yourself, you really are able to allow the leader quality to come out within you. Right now, if I'm honest, answering this question, I still don't feel like a leader. I don't. But I'm hosting spaces, and so many people are giving me really good feedback. And obviously, as a host, you are leading, directing, guiding the space, right? Um, I worry that if I tell myself that I'm a leader, that I'm going to step into the ego. And I see so many people who are big accounts that don't seem to really care for the people that follow them. And that's a concern for me. And I don't want to be one of those people. So I would rather be like, I'm a host. I aim to remain a humble host, and the feedback is welcome, it's received. But just seeing how people who have grown on here don't seem to be conscientious of the people that follow them, I don't want to be one of those people. So I struggle with saying, oh, yes, I'm a leader. I can't say it. I know that I have the qualities. I'm a Leo. So, I'm assertive and all of those things, but I'm trying to find that balance of still being amongst everybody. I put on spaces to hold spaces for everyone else. I ask questions because I'm curious to hear what everyone else has to say. Not everyone takes that approach, right? But that's the approach that I take. If it's something that's working, then that's great. But am I a leader? I'm struggling with that one. So that's where I'm at. I just know that I have more confidence over here than I did over Clubhouse. I can acknowledge that, but I'm struggling to call myself a leader. I hope that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And what I would say to that is you don't hear me giving myself a bunch of labels. Even on business cards, just throughout the years, when I was the mortgage broker, when I was a co-owner, I didn't put owner on my card or CEO. I put business development manager. And I tend to stay away from the titles and labels myself personally because it has a tendency for some people. In some cases, it can create a divide where people will feel a little less comfortable approaching you based on the label or title that you have. And while I embrace the role, I don't necessarily flaunt a title because that part of it isn't important to me. And when we think about what we said earlier as three types of leaders that we could consider, and there are more depending on who you speak to, but for our purposes today, we're discussing traditional leader, the one that's your manager that has authority to tell you what to do. The motivational leaders, those ones that are vocally motivating, they stand out pretty easily, and they often have this infectious personality that is fueled with passion and it inspires people. But then what a lot of people are is the unintentional leader, where you are that behind the scenes person. You appreciate the one-on-one engagements, but you also are an encourager. You're an educator. You're empathetic to people's needs, and you often serve without the title because that isn't what's important to you. Some people want you to call them the expert. They want you to acknowledge that I'm Dr. Brown, if that's the role. And I respect that. If you spent an additional 4, 6, 8 years in school, you've earned the right to be called doctor. But for me, the title isn't important. It's the impact that I'm having. Do I have your respect and esteem based on my character and the value that I add to your life? And that's what's most important. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time wrapping your head around or trying to decide whether or not you claim the title or label, but it's more important in my mind to embrace the role. Because if you embrace the role, then you're going to do the work that a leader does, whether you have the title or not. And I think that's most important. And the very fact that you're even concerned about becoming a different person suggests to me that you will not change because you actually thought about that and you don't want that to happen. So you're going to take the steps and be assertive enough, I would feel, to not change because you say that I'm a leader. I am a leader as a host in these spaces. When people come to listen to you, when you have the opportunity to change people's lives and to create new experiences, take people on a journey that they never imagined that they would go on, to help them have new experiences, you're leading. And that's what leaders do. And remember, ways that we demonstrate leadership is by trying new approaches to things, doing something differently than what everyone has always done, creating new standards, setting standards of personal behavior and innovation, sacrificing for others, showing people they matter, empowering others to succeed. Those are things that leaders do. And it isn't about the title. I don't do it and I don't knock it, but I just choose not to. I don't need a title or a label because I know who I am, regardless of what someone calls me or says to me. I know who I am. And I can look you in the eye if you question or challenge the value that I bring, and I can take it and not have to say anything in response because I know. And that's where we need to be. And that's why today, discovering the leader in you, I want you to get to a place where you recognize, understand, and embrace the leader that's in you. Whether someone said you were a born leader or not, you are leading people in some form or fashion. And I want you to begin to maximize that because when you do, it's going to open new doors of opportunity. And you will be surprised at the people that will begin to seek you out for guidance, that ask you to be a part of businesses they're trying to begin, that ask you to come share your thoughts and ideas with their communities. Doors of opportunity will open for you. So embrace it and begin to speak up and not be afraid of these moments because people are looking at you or listening to you. That's part of being a leader. If you're leading, people want to hear what you have to say. So don't be afraid of that. So let's go now to Blim. How are you, Blim? Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too, Sir Tim Brown, and I must say greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Jah Rastafari, and of course, blessings and honor, glory and power to the ancients of days. Respect to all who joined this space, all of the listeners and speakers. Blessings to whoever recognized today as the Sabbath. Respect to everyone. I hope you all full joy, your strong start. A little bit of twist in the linguistic there, because Rasta don't deal with weekends. We deal with strong start. I love the topic at hand, like the theme, discovering the leader in you. Reflecting back in my childhood, teenage stage, I remember going to a camp that was titled Change from Within. And I heard, I think it's Ami said she don't know how to be a leader because she's in like the follow-in stage. And I must say that to become I strongly experience that to become a good leader takes to be a good follower. And when you can follow good footsteps and have that deep desire from within to take on the responsibilities, I think that's when we really discover that, hey, we are leaders. And that's a part of my journey, just being a human being and want to be in the know, not just seeing things and expecting things to just appear. You want to be a part of like providing, you want to be helpful. So these things kind of inspire me to take on certain responsibilities. And when you take on certain responsibilities, like I always cheer Tim Brown, like about his standards, his character as a man, being that stand up, outspoken human being, that it enables people like me to see a structure and a form that the standard is set so high that it's only right to follow. Of course, you're going to have your uniqueness within, so that change is going to require practice. It's going to require really feeling connected to that kind of spirit or that type of energy. So with that being said, I think it's something that comes from within, because someone mentioned that negative kind of impact. If you want to become a negative leader, and they're the saying that the eyes and the ears is the windows to our soul. So if we intake that kind of energy, I think automatically will lead to a kind of destructive path. But if we surround ourselves around positive, uplifting type of energy, I'm sure that our paths will be directed in a direction that will cause us to lead, which would enable us to have quote unquote followers. So we'll pretty much become leaders. And as a girl's dad, I discovered that I'm a leader when I had my kids, and life kick in, and when they ask questions, they need answers, and I have to provide these answers. So it took me some time to find myself and see where the truth is within my answers and the genuineness, and that's where I kind of acquired my leadership skills. And I try to find higher standards from individuals who I see set the bar and the tone high, just like I articulated Sir Tim Brown. And yes, so pretty much that's kind of how I discover the leader in me. And yes, just acknowledging that change from within tied to the passion, and just looking at fellow men and women around me that inspire me to be even a better person, which will in return inspire others. So yes, sir, Tim Brown, again, thanks for the opportunity to speak, and I trust everyone will have a blessed, strong start.
Awesome, Blim. Thank you for coming and sharing that. And I love that you highlight the fact that it's okay to look to other people, even though we may not feel like we're the leader in the moment or as we're trying to grow, to use other people's behaviors as benchmarks to help us recognize where our standards may be able to change. That's part of the reason it's so important for us to do what we need to do, because people are watching. Someone is always watching you. And I say it often that you only get one chance to make a first impression. And even if it isn't the first impression, make sure you leave the impression that you want to be remembered for. People don't forget. They don't forget how you made them feel. And even if you didn't say something or do something to someone personally or directly, if they see your behavior or experience your character in a negative manner, they still feel what they felt. And it changes the way that they may interact with you in the future or perceive you. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who's going to be the director at your job. You never know who's going to be the owner of the business you approach to try to do business with, to win a contract. So we really want to be mindful. It's amazing how that happens. So thank you for that, Blim. And Blim is absolutely a girl dad. And I haven't had the trophy made yet, Blim, but I was going to send him a Dad of the Year trophy, because over the past couple years, many times when we're in spaces, Blim would always refer to his daughters, and you can hear them in the background asking about ice cream, and he's taking them to the park or whatever it is that's going on. He's a girl dad, and he's very present in their lives. So I commend you for doing that, and I don't want that to sound wrong, as because there's a lot of dads that are dads to their kids, and unfortunately, society makes it seem like they aren't. And there are a lot of times some extenuating circumstances when some of them that would be great dads, they don't have the ability or opportunity to. But all that said, I wanted to commend you, Blim, for being such a wonderful girl dad to your children and being a leader. And that goes to what we said earlier, people you may be leading or have led in your time. And this could be as an unintentional leader, your family, your classmates, your coworkers, your friends, your teammates. You never know who you may be leading unintentionally because they respect your character and your values. Shari, go ahead. I see your hand.
Thank you, Tim. I just wanted to say to Blam, I was actually getting my children some lunch and I heard his introduction and the way he greeted the crowd. And I just was like, what? I haven't heard a Rastaman speak like a Rastafarian. Because I grew up in the Caribbean and I was literally saying to my husband yesterday, like, I just love when I'm going down the street and like Rasta people always stop you and they always greet you like, good morning, like talking about the Most High and stuff like that. I just miss having that around, and it's so crazy that he was in the space today, and that's the way he greeted the crowd. And yeah, I really appreciated that. This is my first introduction to him, so I look forward to connecting with you, Bam, and hearing you speak more.
Yes, thank you, Shari, and likewise, and just a little correction in linguistic, it's appreciate love. So we remove the negative connotation from the word hate. So it's I do appreciate love, you acknowledging that also. So respect and thanks. Respect him.
Absolutely. And just so you all know, Blim is the person that I was speaking of earlier after Sarah spoke, Patriot Sarah. So Blim is the one that I was speaking of earlier. And I don't think you were in here at the time, Blim, but Sarah stutters, and she came up and shared some thoughts, and what she did was truly motivate and inspire a lot of people. So much so someone actually created a card for her. So I said that you were someone that I known had come to know that, you had a similar experience, but I've seen how you have transformed where that's no longer an obstacle the way people would think it is, and that you just have grown and blossomed and you navigate that extremely well, and it is not a hindrance to you in what it is that you're doing. So just so you understand why I brought you up, and so everyone else knows that this is who I was speaking of, Blim, earlier. And thank you again for being here, Blim. So let's go over to Jules, because I know Jules was wanting to share something last week and we ran out of time. So Jules, the mic is yours. How are you today? You're muted if you're speaking.
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much. Good evening. Good day, everyone. Hi.
So Jules, one second. Jules, are you able to get to a different place? Because we can't hear you. I heard you, but then there's more background noise. Hold on one second.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, can you get to a quieter place that we'll be able to hear you? And we can give you a moment to do that. And what we'll do is, because Imusugu, hold on, let's see. Imusugut. And you can tell me how to pronounce your name. I would want to know how to pronounce that correctly. How do you pronounce your name? Imusugut?
hi, please also
Hello all.
can you hear me?
Hold on one second. One second. So, no, it's still loud, Jules. It's still loud in the background.
Please, I was going to say you should give my spot to someone else. I'll speak next time.
Okay.
I'm currently, yes, in a very noisy environment, and I can't get a place to settle. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, Musugut, is that how you pronounce your name?
It's pronounced Msugut.
Msugut.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
thank you very much. Thank you very much for acknowledging my presence in your space. I'm from Kenya, and I happen to be a co-countryman with the Odhiambo. And this is a forum I've really this is my first time to be in your space, and I've learned for the time I joined, I've learned a lot of things, and I really appreciate everything that I've had. It is educative, it is bringing something out of me that I didn't know, because it's not easy, trying to relate with people from different countries, with different ideologies, with different mindset and different perception towards leadership. That said, Dan, personally, I have been looking forward to have someone who can walk me through the process, and I hope you, from after I've heard from you all this a while that I've joined this space, you'll be the right person to coach me through that. But however, this space has taught me a lot about leadership with a short period I've been there. But I discovered my leadership skill because every now and then in every either an organization or workplace or school or college, whenever I used to speak, people could point out you can do this.
Msugut,
Yes.
are you able to get to a quieter place? We can hear you the majority of the time, but it's like every couple seconds, it's like someone is dropping something in the background and it's overshadowing what you're saying.
Can you get me? Are you still getting the noise? Is it quiet now?
At this moment, it is
okay
good.
now?
Yes, now it is.
Okay. Now, I was saying, because in my process or in my journey for leadership, I used to listen to Les Brown. Les Brown is the one who motivated me a lot. And he said this, you can never be a greater person when you associate with people who have inferior minds. Because leadership calls for people who understand the value of being a leader. Integrity is part of it, and knowing your potential is part of it. And I believe there is one thing that a leader always is a team player. He gives direction, but he never tells people how to do it. He says what to do, but not to tell them how to do it. And a leader is a person who can learn from others, because it doesn't mean that when you're in a top leadership position, that those ones below you don't know anything. They might know better than you. But you as a leader, also, you need to understand the dynamics and the kind of people you are leading, their behavior, their traits, and how they react on issues, how you resolve matters, how you relate with them on an individual level, knowing the people around you and the environment and how they work around the area. And I understood this fact that being a good leader, also you need to be a good listener, because you cannot be a good speaker if you're not a good listener. And you can never be a good leader if you cannot be a good listener, because you need to listen first and then have your own, you can analyze whatever you've listened within that given time, and you can react on them. Remember, making in mind, okay, having in mind that whatever you've heard and the response you're going to give is going to be satisfactory to that person who may ask for a question or guidance, or walk you through, uh, who wants you to walk him through or her through the path of a solution of whatever he wants at that moment. And one thing I know that as a leader from the process, like with all the positions I've been with, you need to be humble as a leader. Like you said, I heard you saying, it's not about the title, it's about what people gain from you. Because these titles, you can have them, but if you don't operate in the right way as a leader, they are worthless. They don't have any value. Because one thing I believe personally, the philosophy I have with me, I always believe this is not it's not how much asset you own as a leader. It's about how many souls you have touched, that they have touched other souls for them to achieve what they want in their life. I think I'll be brief for today because this is the first time I've been in your space. And I really appreciate for the listeners, for you giving me this opportunity. I don't take it for granted. And may God bless everyone.
Wow. Thank you for that, Imasugut. We appreciate you being here and glad you came and shared that perspective and experience with us that you have had on your journey to becoming an even greater leader. And I appreciate all the things that you shared. Being a team player, being a good listener, understanding the importance of adding value as opposed to just simply having a title. Because a title means nothing if you don't add value to someone's life. And that's what good leaders have to do. So thank you for joining us today and sharing those perspectives. And just in case, I want to see if Abiola AI is up here. I know you didn't raise your hand, but I know you came back up and you could be having trouble raising your hand. So I wanted to see if you had something you wanted to share before we go.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Can
How
you
are
hear
you?
me, please?
I can hear you. It sounds like something may
Yeah,
be rubbing against your microphone, possibly.
yeah. I think I've been having issue with the internet for some
Okay.
times now, so I have to go on, come back again, and on and off. It's really nice to be here today, and I really appreciate you for setting up this space. I'm always on fire seeing people come up, speak, how you encourage them, and how they really appreciate that they are looking up to you as the best tutor right now to take up the challenge of speaking. And personally, I look up to you. I check on the confidence speaking space, dot us. I checked on it and I see all the book there. I took it as a challenge to read all the books. It has been interesting ever since. And I really want others who are here, who want to speak more, who want to take the challenge to do more. This won't be the only you have to speak on space. I think
Oh, it's breaking up.
time more be a very intense. Hello,
I think we're
hello. Can you
okay. I hear you now. I heard you say hello.
All right. So I think this shouldn't be the only time we come online to speak on space. I would really appreciate if we have other time we come on space and We talk during the week. I want this to be a very intense challenge for everyone so they can master these skills as fast as possible. When I come up on this space the first time, I really appreciate it, and you won't believe what happened. My fear has gone totally. Now I look up to every space I want to speak. I'm popped up. I look up to every other space aside for this, and I want to speak, I want to talk. I look up to every opportunity to just speak with people, one or two groups. And once again, thank you for creating this space. And I'm encouraging everyone who has not speak yet to come up. If you don't have the time to speak today, you will have chance next week. And I hope that team will really create another section for us to speak more during the week. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Abiola. I appreciate that. And we're going to work on something like that and see how we can expand a little bit to provide a little more opportunity to get a little more in depth with what it is that we're trying to do. And there are some people that I know are really trying to be very intentional about this. And I want to open that as an opportunity for you. So I know there were 4 people that have already expressed interest in that, but we're going to do it and move forward. And there are a couple people that have DM'd me in the past that I'll reach out to and see if they want to participate in a small group where we do some of this, a little deeper dive into really expanding and being more intentional about our growth and development, because that's what it takes to get where we're trying to go. So I want to thank you for that, sir. So with that, I want to see Mama B, you have any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
Yes, I do have some final thoughts quickly, Tim. What a beautiful space. What a just beautiful. I don't even have words for it today. Somebody mentioned about Les Brown. I always say Tim Brown is the Les Brown of Twitter. But in listening to the different people and the challenges that a lot of people have been having with connections and not being able to be heard because of what's going on in the back, and also Odiambo talking about how he would step into these spaces as a homeless person, and how that it made he appreciated the bigness of this platform, the global platform. Many times we don't even see it that way, but listening to Odiambo. And so thinking of Les Brown, he always says, be hungry. He says, you have to be hungry, or something like that. And so I'm impressed today by the hunger that I see in people who come up here, and against all the odds that they are experiencing with the connections and the noise, they still strive to be on these platforms, to have a voice as the leaders that they are. So my takeaway today, and I'm ending with here, my takeaway is what you said there, Tim. I know who I am, you said. I know who I am. So I'm going to be walking around thinking that and telling myself that I know who I am, because it is in that knowing who you are that you embrace the leader that you are inside of yourself. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Shari, for being the co-host today with me, and Darren and everyone. I shouldn't even be mentioning names. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Tim. And I'm done.
Mama B, I just want to say, listening to you just then, there was such a controlled power. It's like the fire hose that the firemen use, how it can have so much power that water coming out of those fire hoses can knock you off your feet. But when you use it the right way and you apply the right amount of pressure, it does the job that it's intended to do. And I really appreciate, and just I love the way you just expressed that. And I hope you go back and listen to it to just hear how you sounded when you shared those final thoughts, and take that in. And that suits you very well. It suits you very well, because it was warm, welcoming, inviting. And not that you aren't warm and inviting, but there's a difference. That was different just then. So I want you to go back and listen to that and just take it in. And that's one of those moments where even with the expressiveness, the change in pitch that you made, it still sat very nicely within this realm of love, nurturing, but still a strength at the same time, a soft strength. So I wanted to point that out to you. So
Thank you so much, Tim, and everyone. It's because I've been coming to this space since last June, and this is the result. So thank you, Tim, for saying that. I'll go back and listen. I actually was feeling myself sounding different inside of myself. So thank you for highlighting that. I'll go and sit on it and listen again. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that's something that I've told you all, that when you listen to your recordings, you will get to a point that you will begin to feel the connection of what you're saying more than you focus on how you sound. And that's when you know you are really progressing, because your mindset will shift from critiquing and criticizing yourself. Oh, I don't like my voice. I don't like my voice. To thinking that, okay, that was impactful. I can appreciate what I shared just then. And I like that. I connected. And when you can connect with yourself, you know it's nice. You're making progress for real. Shari.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
What could I say after Mama B? Wow, this space was so beautiful, and I feel so blessed to be in this space. I was not expected to be a co-host, but here I am, and I always appreciate when you bring me up, Tim, because I used to be so fearful of speaking in public, and just showing up and being present is always the best thing to do. But Sarah's share, I'm still like so in awe of her coming up and sharing. And then Just Chill just made her card, and I'm like, wow, this is what a community is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a group of people seeing each other and accepting each other, no matter what, or even getting feedback and not looking at feedback in a negative light. So once again, Tim, thank you so much for hosting this space, and thank you for having me here with you on stage. And I'm always going to appreciate that. And thank you for taking a chance with me, because you are making me now realize that I am a leader. And I didn't see it before when my family used to say it to me, because of course they're family. But now that I've joined your space, Tim, I know like you tell me all the time, and I'm definitely seeing it. And I also wanted to mention with Adiola, there's such a hunger in him, and he inspires me so much, because I think it was last week he sent me a DM with the books, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even notice there were books there. And then like a couple of days later, he sent me an e-file with all the books, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's hungry. He really wants to learn, and it's so impressive. And yeah, this community is doing an amazing job, and I'll end there.
Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's for a teacher, an educator, or anyone, even a leader, it's inspiring when you hear that kind of response or that type of feedback of what people are experiencing and what they're actually doing for themselves. Because again, I can give you information, or anyone can give you a lot of information, but it's the ones that step out there and are hungry, and they do the work, and they want to do the work. And it's a difference when people want to get it. And I was excited when he made the post last week as well about wanting to do more work, wanting to get deeper into this. So we're going to work on that for sure. So that's on the way, people. And it's going to be some small groups that we'll do, but that's something that's on the way. And what I want to say, just thank you, Mama B. Thank you, Shari, for co-hosting today. I really appreciate you both for doing that. And I appreciate just how much effort and just the time, because it's a commitment. It's a time commitment to say I'm going to be here. And I know that no one is required to be here. And I thank you all, everyone, all the listeners. And I want to go ahead and just acknowledge all of you. So Brenda, mommy of 3 kids, Brenda always putting up the nuggets and the vittles that she's creating. A leader trying new approaches and creating new standards, Brenda. Truths, who's in space. We got Modest Minor, good to see you. Rookie, Creative Side, Brock, Josh. We've got The Meta. We've got Ethnos, also Mr. JB, Suze, Joaquin, Brian, RKH, Tuminho. We also have Uda Kosuke. Hope I pronounced that correctly. And maybe one day you'll get to tell me how to pronounce it correctly. Uda Kosuke. And then we've got Edmund, Will I Am, First Steps. We also have Hamedi, Paul, Blue, Lady Hawk, William, Victoria, Olu Segun, Gideon, Stewart, Universe Child. We have, and let me see if I can get this right. We have Aus. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Aus. And then we have Chifando, Tael, Mosh, Zaharadine, Hajar. We have Lawrence, Brigitte, or Timothy, Diversified Portfolio. And then we have Gichichio TV, that's in the space as listeners. So for those of you that may be new to the space, I always like to take a moment to go down the line and acknowledge all the listeners that are in the space, because the listeners, you're just as important as anyone else in the space. And we appreciate your presence, even if you weren't able to come up or you aren't ready to come up just yet. At the end of the day, I just want you to keep coming and making progress. And at some point, you're going to be comfortable enough to come up and say hello to everyone in the space so that we all continue growing together. It's about progress, not perfection. And I want you to get to a place where you are comfortable no matter what environment you're in, and that you never miss an opportunity because you were too afraid to speak. I don't want you to miss a potentially life-changing opportunity because you were too afraid to speak. And Christy, good to see you. I see you, Christy. I saw you. But I had told everyone that we had that final speaker that was going to speak today. So I wanted to do what I said that I was supposed to do with that, even though we don't end on time. And I'm trying to figure out what spaces actually end on time, like they say. But I saw you, so I wanted to make sure I at least acknowledged you. And it's always great to see you. And I hope everything is going well with the position that you took a while back. So everyone, you are very much appreciated for your time, for your presence. Darren, keep doing what you do, sir. And everyone, just continue to stay blessed and just know that you are a leader. Many of you, again, are unintentional leaders, but I feel like the unintentional leaders tend to be, that would be my favorite. If I had to choose one that I am, I would want to be the unintentional leader, because people are respecting me and hold me in esteem because of my character and the way that I engage with them, not because of my title or my authority that I have. You get a lot farther when you are able to inspire people and build them up than you do when you have the ability to tell them what to do. It changes the dynamics, and all of you have that in you. And I want you today, I hope that all of you have discovered the leader in you on some level, and that you continue looking deeper inside so that you can let your light shine and begin to maximize the power that you have and all that you have to offer this world, because you do. Each of you are special people, and you have tremendous value to share with this world. You just have to believe it and then begin to do it. So with that, I hope everyone is blessed. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Confident Speaking Space. Your contributions as a speaker and your presence listening live or on the replay are greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed the experience and want to show some love, feel free to visit the link on my profile and buy me a coffee. Until we meet again, I pray you have a fantastic week ahead. So be blessed, be safe, and be intentional about becoming a more confident and effective communicator. Let's get it.